If Max Duggan can extend plays just like C.J. Stroud was able to do a week ago and find Quentin Johnston on the offensive side of Darius Davis on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to need to get to Stetson Bennett, because if you get to Stetson Bennett, they're going to rely heavily upon that run game, and I think that's what they need to do offensive defensively. It just big role. I think they got to start fast. This is the team that's winning many games late. They got a lot of confidence. They pull it out. Special teams offense, defense. TCU has to start this game fast. Get that ball and get that game.
On offense, Georgia can play five guys in the box on all those spread formations. They got to be able to run the ball because they can take their RPOs and their short games away. They're going to be in trouble. They got to be able to run the football and create some balance. On defense, they better be able to stop the run, because if they can't stop the run in their 3-3-5 deal, they're going to have problems with the play action passes and the explosive plays that Georgia's going to be able to take advantage of with them. So I think it's a tough road for them. If they can do all those things, I think they got a good chance in the game.
TCU ran with making scores down about 50 touchdowns. The biggest difference in the field football, 2 pick sixes. Darius Davis and 4 coverage touchdowns from anyone. Georgia wins the game if they do that. If Georgia can get the simulated pressures we talked about, bringing forward, but they don't know where the guys are coming from, and they can affect Max Duggan, that's how Georgia's defense is going to get this game. Yeah, and Georgia does Georgia. They can take care of the football. Listen, there's a reason they're the number 1 team in the country. They got a lot more talent. They can't make those mistakes like we talked about against Michigan. They can't turn the football over. They take care of the football. They win this football. Yeah, I think so. And also, let's get Brock Bowers in there a little bit more than once. You got the best player on the football field. Why not do that? I think that's a massive weapon for them, and it means their offense is on schedule, Coach.
I think the big advantage Georgia has is on the line of scrimmage. If they can control the line of scrimmage, they'll be able to run the ball. They'll be able to make explosive plays on offense. TCU will have a tough time running against them. They'll make them one-dimensional, give them a lot of long yardage situations on 3rd down. So I think that's the key to it, is what happens up front.
Getting closer and closer to kickoff. Our picks are just around the corner. We Corso back with the head trip coming up. This is special things that doesn't matter.
The Ram Trucks College Football Pregame is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
New customers get our best deals on all smart. That's right. But what if I'm already a customer? Oh, no problem. Hey, Kim. There. Hi. Same deal. It's kind of funny.
What if I'm new to AT&T?
Kim.
But what about for existence?
Who's that coming down the track? Oh, that's right. It's TCU. They're looking to dethrone the reigning national champions in the Georgia Bulldogs. Do you believe in miracles? Dogs or frogs? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in and listening to my college football playoff national championship game live watch along reaction stream live right here on YouTube. As always, I'm your host, Encyclopedia Sports, Cohen Luke 96. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. Scroll down, check out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hit that red subscribe button, notification bell next to it as well to stay up to date. Thumbs up button if you're hoping for a damn good college football playoff national championship game with Georgia and TCU as well. Share hashtag college football, hashtag CFB playoff, hashtag Georgia, hashtag TCU as well. Chat questions and comments, super chat, super stickers, super likes, super thanks. Always great appreciated. As college game day is about to wrap up, they'll have game picks in a few minutes with Coach Corso revealing his headgear selection. As mentioned, let me know in the comments below, dogs or frogs. As both TCU and Georgia are playing each other tonight after winning in the college football playoff semis on New Year's Eve. TCU defeated Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. Georgia defeated Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. As tonight's national championship game is in Inglewood, always up to no good in SoCal, and we'll be playing the game in SoFi Stadium, home of the Chargers and Rams, and last year's site, Super Bowl 56, and 3 months from now as well, WrestleMania 39. As Georgia is the SEC champions, they're the designated home team in their red and black uniforms, whereas TCU out of the Big 12, losing to Kansas State in Big 12 championship game, however, still securing a top 4 spot in the college football playoff. They'll be in their white and purple unis, but from dogs to underdogs. Will unfortunately end the college football season here tonight as Georgia's a 2-touchdown, 13-point favorite, looking to repeat and become the first repeat national champion since Alabama did it a decade ago. And before that, USC 20 years ago. And hell, also before that, Nebraska 30 years ago as well. So I guess, honestly, looking ahead 10 years from now, you can take that to the bank. Every 10 years, we have back-to-back national champions in college football. However, I might add, in the past 10 years, as Georgia tonight is searching to become the 5th repeat champion, to get back to the national championship game, which they did the following season. However, the other 4 have lost. So keep that in mind. So Georgia 4-0 all time versus TCU. So go from 4 to 5, make it 6 and 7 for a touchdown. Expect a close game down to the wire. A dog, hell, maybe even a frog fight, if you will, as they'll give game picks. TCU, Georgia, in the comments below. The line's moved up about a half a point, but honestly, just go out and play ball. And it's either go dogs or go frogs. You can hashtag that as well when you share on social media. And once again, thanks for tuning in and listening. But Kirby Smart, Sonny Dykes, won a national championship as a head coach. The other in Sonny, looking for his first. Of course, former Cal head coach, and they fired him. Worked his way back up as an assistant, took over at SMU, and then in his first year at TCU this year. And I'll flat out say I was completely wrong about Sonny Dykes and TCU this year, as I think a lot of people are saying that right now, because, man, they've, for the most part, come out of nowhere. They have. But, hey, that's why you play the game. You know, it ain't decided on paper, decided on the field. There were 201 long shots at the start of the year. And that's why, of course, with the odds and then, preseason rankings, they sort of don't mean shit. They don't. So he's going to try to be right tonight, I guess. All right. And Uga, not in attendance because he couldn't travel across country, unfortunately. So we're going to see an upset tonight. TCU, they don't think they're underdogs. They've gone out and won as many games as Georgia has. They have. -1. I might add, they're 13-1. Georgia's 14-0. Have to get to 15-0 to repeat, though. TCU might have lost when they needed to potentially win out then at that point, you think about it. But a swerve with the headgear. Fuck it. But, from Uga to Super Frog, TCU's averaging 42 a game, Georgia 38. But, everybody's been talking about how good these defenses are, and rightfully so. Okay? So, honestly, who's going to bend but not break when the game's on the line? Defense wins championships at the end of the day. You can score as much as you want, but it might come down to a goal line stand for all we know. But also, from a ginger to a mailman at quarterback with Max Duggan and Stetson Bennett, who were both Heisman finalists this year, I might add as well. They both, of course, can throw, but then run when needed. I think the biggest thing to watch tonight, in all three phases of the game is at quarterback. Who makes less mistakes? I think whoever does, their team's going to end up winning. But also you got to run the damn ball. Work clock. You control the clock, you control the game. Plain and simple. But, from time possession, you're going to have to play field position a little bit, I'd have to think, tonight as well. Explosive plays, whether that's, just a big offensive play on a play action. If you do get a running game going and have it at that, or, defensively with a turnover or two for a touchdown, but then in the return game, in special teams, kickoff or a punt return. So, time possession, field position, explosive plays. Special teams, yes. I mean, it might be a low-scoring, game for all we know. You might have to take points when you don't want to. But I think the big difference in a few short hours from now, overall, more so than not, it's going to be turnovers more than anything else. Is who's going to decide on who's the winner and who's the loser here tonight. So they said, who makes less mistakes at quarterback? Georgia's defense, up front at least. TCU, I mean, they play in Texas. They have size. But up until they just played in the playoff last weekend, they, don't have that experience. That's key at times, but at the same point in time, man, just go out and play. Okay, just go out and play football. So up front, you control the clock, as mentioned, you control the game, control the line of scrimmage. You're going to be in a good spot, I'd have to think. But yeah, turnovers, I think it's going to end up being the difference, especially one late third quarter, early fourth quarter, somewhere in the second half. So yeah, opening video package, from Star Wars to the national championship game. And so I said, do you believe in miracles? Are we going to see an upset tonight? As talk about head coaches and Kirby Smart and Sonny Dykes. Kirby was on the staff at Alabama the last time a team went back-to-back and won back-to-back national championships. That was a decade ago in 11 and 12. Of course, he took it over at his alma mater in Athens, University of Georgia, at the end of the 15 season, so from 16 on now. As they played in a couple national championship games, coming off a win last year, have lost as well, but going to look to win tonight. But, if TCU wins, I mean, it's going to be one of those stories that people will talk about for years to come. Whereas if Georgia wins, okay, it's just, well, they won again, and they're that team you have to beat. But Sonny Dykes, on the flip side, like I said, first year at TCU, I didn't think it was a good hire. I didn't. Because he got fired at Cal. And then he had some success, at SMU, and then he goes across town to TCU and takes over for Gary Patterson, who was the head coach for the Horned Frogs the past 20 years, and rising them up from a non-Power 5 to a big-time program. And, they really came on the scene when they beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl with the Red Rifle. And, they've had their ups and downs since, but, first year, Dykes is the first year head coach since Gus Malzahn at Auburn in 2013 to reach a national championship game. Of course, Florida State beat Auburn that year in the final year of the BCS, in which that game was also played in LA at the Rose Bowl. And we are Penn State, and the Lions coming off a Rose Bowl win last Monday. I believe it's already been a week, but we're going to end the college football season here tonight, unfortunately. But just overall, like I said, go out and play ball. TCU does find ways to win, even though, of course, once again, some don't think they should be here. However, they are 13-1, and they're coming off of a win against Michigan in the playoff. Georgia beat Ohio State, as mentioned, as well. It's not set on paper, it's set on the field, and they've gone out and won. But tonight, I don't think they will. TCU plus the points, but Georgia wins, as we'll see how froggy we're feeling later. So ribbit. But myself and the big dog here, we're going to take Georgia 30-22. So in the comments below, once again, who you have winning as we go from the opening video package to In the Booth with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit, as I'll be on the call. Pat McAfee cast on ESPN2, but I think a low-scoring first half, honestly. I mean, it's a big game. It's not a championship game. But just overall, until these teams settle in the game, take what defense gives you offensively. Like I said, late turnover, bending, breaking on defense, but yeah, low-scoring first half. Settle down, settle in, game pick up steam from there. Hoping for a full, 60 of action. I mean, just back and forth, as the playoff semis were. I mean, good God. In the Fiesta Bowl, TCU got out to an early lead on Michigan, and then they came back. TCU pulled away again. Michigan started to come back. They'll say they got screwed by the refs, and rightfully so on some calls. But then turnovers were big then. And some play calling early ended up hurting Michigan, looking back on it, and TCU won. And then in the Peach Bowl, as TCU beat Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl, once again, Georgia over Ohio State, after the Buckeyes missed a game-winning field goal at the end and the start of the new year in 2022 to 2023, right as the clock struck 12. Just back and forth the whole entire game. Touchdown here, touchdown there. I mean, they matched each other left and right. But then Kirby's timeout on the fake punt sort of is where it turned, and Georgia took over from there, it felt like. As, of course, it wasn't a good look for the Big Ten, even though I did want both Michigan and Ohio State to win and then play in a rematch tonight in the national championship game. But TCU won, Georgia won. Going to go with Georgia tonight, as mentioned. But we're going to have kickoff here shortly, as we got an early kick compared to usual. Normally the game's not starting until 8:30, but here we are, 7:30 Eastern time, so 4:30 Pacific local. But coming up at halftime, we'll have first half stats and scores, we always do. We'll give a full bowl recap from the bowl season, all 40-plus games that began the week before Christmas and have continued through the holidays and the new year, and the final game of the college football season. Now, tonight, as the FCS D1AA National Championship game was yesterday, and South Dakota State defeated North Dakota State. But, yeah, we'll first have stats and scores. We'll recap bowl season. We're also going to recap NFL Week 18 from yesterday, preview the NFL playoffs that will begin next weekend as well. As they'll, of course, have the wild card round, followed by the divisional and the conference championships, Pro Bowl. And then a little over a month from now, on February the 12th, they'll have just south in the desert, Super Bowl 57 to cap off the season, as we're going to end the college football season here tonight. But, of course, next year is going to be here before you know it. It's technically 2023 is already here, but next season, you get my point. And we'll have a little preview on that, as, of course, they'll be going into the final season of the current 4-team format for the college football playoff before it expands to 12 in 2024. Of course, conference realignment in full swing once again as well. And, from early signing day to the old school first Wednesday in February signing day that'll be coming up less than a month from now. Of course, transfer portal, hot as ever, NIL, all that as well. So just tonight, hoping for a good game, and we'll see who comes out on top. So as mentioned, once again, let me know in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in and listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. Thumbs up button, share, chat questions and comments, super chat, super sticker, super likes, super thanks. Always greatly appreciated. And we'll have the national anthem and the rest of the pregame ceremonies with the coin toss as well. So, Georgia TCU for the college football playoff national championship game to end the 2022 season that it's been. There's a Space Force. Thank you, as always. Shout out to the troops. Thanks for service. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. And yeah, I guess there's a Space Force now. Is Elon also in charge of that, or what? But they lower the flags, and we got a 10-year-old singing the national anthem tonight. Because we got a packed house. And God bless the United States of America. There's a 10-year-old doing sign language as Pentatonics performed the Star Spangled Banner. But we'll have ACC officials, so coin toss next. We'll see who wins that. If it's heads, tails, or a coin with the logos, and whatever comes up ends up winning. And then do you defer, do you receive, which end, all that bullshit. But yeah, just go out and play football. So, Georgia TCU, as both teams are about to take the field. Georgia's mentioned in their home red uniforms, TCU, the visitor, in their road whites. But as Georgia won the SEC, TCU did not win the Big 12, but they'd become the first Big 12 team to win the national championship under the college football playoff format in the past 9-10 years, give or take, as Georgia takes the field. As honestly, since the playoff was created, of course, Ohio State, the first champ in 14, it's truly, for the most part, been all Alabama, been all Clemson. You can throw Georgia into that mix too, even Ohio State. And then, you have, fillers for the most part as the other schools. You think about it, TCU is truly the first since Oregon, when, they were right at the tail end of their success they had under Chip Kelly to Mark Helfrich, from when they lost in the BCS national championship game and then losing in the first ever college football playoff national championship game, et cetera, et cetera. But TCU's not necessarily blue blood in college football. They're not. Whereas Georgia is. They always have been. But yeah, we'll see what it gives. So I play a game. I mean, we can talk all we want. Preview, predict, this way, that way, but we're not coaching, we're not playing, we're just going to watch and see what the hell happens and just hope for a good game. So, yeah, ACC officials tonight. It's a penalty. Call it. If it's not, don't let them play. We'll see how much they try to control the game. But, yeah, they're from the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC. The trophy is heads. SoFi Stadium is tails. So heads I win, tails you lose. TCU, tails. Heads, Georgia defer. Yeah. They'll defer and kick towards the both end zones are painted black, but Georgia's going to be kicking right to left across your television screen, already on it all to begin the game. So Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit on the call, with Holly Rowe and Molly McGrath on Georgia and TCU sidelines, I might add as well. So looks like there's been enough talk, as they say. It's time for the main event, and we'll have kickoff here in a second. So like I said, explosive play, but be aggressive, plain and simple. Punch them and keep punching them, basically, and see if they get up. Like I said, dogfight, frog fight. But turnovers to points, if you can capitalize. So Jack Podlesny, not Puzzlesny, not Pause, not 31. But Georgia's on the kickoff, so they'll get the ball to begin the second half. TCU back deep to receive. And it's loud. There's a lot of people barking. There's a lot of people throwing up a couple fingers that are folded down, and we're underway. And we'll have a touchback. So, be first and 10 TCU from the 25. Left to right. across your television screen, right down. Once again, thanks for tuning in and listening. Yeah, Max Duggan, who's been at TCU, with Sonny Dykes coming in. Week 1 was not the starter. He eventually became the starter and never looked back. Heisman finalist, just like Stetson. And like I said, I think the big thing about tonight's game is at quarterback, who makes less mistakes. And whoever does, their team's going to win. Got a whistle on the opening play and false start. 5 yards, I'll replay it down. So Georgia's going to back them up, be 1st and 15 TCU from the 20. So no times come off the clock. We've had a kickoff. They're going to run a play, but a penalty. 1st and 15. So going the wrong way already. But that's what I said. Low scoring first half here. Don't make the game bigger than it is. Just go out and play. You got to settle down, settle in, and then go from there. You got to, of course, try to execute. It's the name of the game, and the name of the game is also to win, because that's all anybody ever remembers. But you got to build up some momentum, rhythm, capitalize off that as well. That pass incomplete. So 2nd and 15 TCU. They'll motion the tight end. Far side, run a bubble screen that way as well, and Johnson for 3 yards. So, 3rd and long. Penalty hurt him there on the opening play, for sure. And then the incompletion, and Georgia's defense, talk about stout. I mean, they're going to come at you any which way they possibly can. They're going to try to lock you up. Georgia just now gets down on their hands on the D-line. They bring 3. That pass incomplete near side of the sticks. So 4th down, they'll punt. As you had TCU just lined up in the gun. Yeah, that pass just... They're already letting, game get to them, it feels like. They're not ready for it. Where Georgia defensively, they were. Now offensively, we'll see. But here's a punt. But yeah, Georgia's defense, man, just... If they can score offensively like they do, but then also have trouble at times, and then their defense makes stops, I mean, this game honestly could be over early, though, too, if you think about it. They're 13-point favorites for a reason. Nobody's, other than TCU, giving them a shot. So, same point in time, though, they went out and won 13 games because they find ways to win. So, they just got to settle down, settle in. Georgia, some good field here after the punt. Fair caught at 43. That's a false start as well. So, all right. 5 yards back them up to 38, 1st and 15. So both offenses, man, just settle the hell down. That's what I said late, defensively, what defense bends doesn't break. Might be a low-scoring game, even though these teams are averaging 35-plus a game. Yeah, there's a lot of noise right now. It's it's national championship game. It's a big game, Phil. I mean, that's college football in general. Every game is big. It's as they'll hand off there, get the penalty yarders back, be 2nd and 8. It's that energy that comes from the diehard fans, the students. College football is so much different than the NFL, let alone any other sport. You have the marching bands. You have noise coming this way, that way, and you gotta dial in. You gotta block it all out as much as you can. You can't let it get to you. You let it get to you, you're up shit creek without a paddle. That pass down the middle caught first down. Dogs up to 34. So, hoo. But we'll see who will let the dogs out. That was Bennett to Bowers for a good 20 yards. So first down and 10 Georgia. They'll fake the give. Looking to throw again, going to dump off, and he's going to be just short. That's a good spot, though. Now we got a flag, so it looks like it's going to be coming back. Illegal shift, potentially. Yeah, he wasn't lined up. Because they motioned and then he stepped up. Yeah, here's the replay. And they weren't set before the ball was snapped. Yeah, that's a pretty good call. So that, whether it was 8, 9, 10 yard pickup, comes back. They did give him a good spot even though he looked short. So first and 15 again for Georgia, back to the 39. I'd run it. And now they'll fake it again. Bennett, tight end screen to Bowers, far side, and he'll get the penalty yarders back with ease and then get a few more yards, and now they got a second and short. So now maybe run it. You got a second and 2. Get a first down. Just keep it simple, balance, and consistency. Like I said, run the football. Georgia's going to get some points on this drive, it looks like. I just don't know how much. We'll see if this TCU defense can hold them out or they're going to force a field goal. Hell, maybe even get a turnover. Make sure they don't get anything. But they'll hand off and get a first down at the 20. So first down and 10, Georgia from there. What the hell was just thrown into one of the offensive linemen? A new glove? Or did his pad come off or something like that? He gets up on the ball and he's going to snap it, but maybe he threw something to the side. Maybe he took something off. It looked like he caught something. He got something thrown into him. Bennett going to keep it himself and walks in the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia. So quarterback draw for 21 yards. Touchdown, Dogs. Just like that. Make it look easy. And he'll hold. Here's the extra point. Camera guy was even faked out. It looked like he handed off, but no, he just kept running, held on to the ball, and walked in the end zone. A 5-play touchdown drive. Had a couple penalties, but they still marched and scored. So extra points up and good, 7-0 Georgia. 11:01 to play in the first. We'll see how TCU responds, but if their offense can't get rolling, I get it's early, still a lot of football left, but then their defense is just going to allow them to, make it look easy like that, like they just did there. Might be a long game for them. As Max Duggan, 1 of 3 yards. Pass was caught to Quentin Johnson. And then Stetson Bennett. As the difference right now is Georgia's running game. McIntosh 7 yards, Milton 6 yards. Bennett's 2 of 2, 33 yards, but then a 21-yard scamper there for a touchdown. extra point up and good. And both Bennett's passes were complete to Brock Bowers, 2 of 33. So 7-0 Georgia, 11:01 to play. As both teams got false starts on the opening play of each drive here. So TCU went backwards and stayed there. Georgia went forwards, went backwards again, and then scored. So 7-0. And we'll get back to the action momentarily here in a few minutes as well. We'll be watching WWE Monday Night Raw and see how that goes tonight, as they're a few weeks out from the Royal Rumble at the end of the month. So we'll keep eyes on that, but we're going to be watching, main focus 99.5% of tonight is to this college football playoff national championship game. But as always, just once again, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And like I said, we'll see how TCU responds, because that was a pretty quick drive by Georgia. As like I said, they both started the same way, false starts, first 15, and then TCU with a 3-and-out. Georgia, a couple first downs, another penalty, but they kept moving forward, and they hit pay dirt for 6, make it 7. So 7-0 Georgia on top of TCU here, about 4 minutes in. So exactly, too much college football, too much sports in general is never too much. That might be one of the best commercials, or let alone best sayings in a commercial ever. Let's show a replay of the touchdown. Yeah, fake the give, which he probably would have got at least 5 yards on that keeper. But then he kept it for himself, and then in the end zone and touchdown. So how's TCU going to respond? What's Max Duggan going to do to answer that? Is he going to be able to run like that against Georgia's defense? Is he going to, be able to air it out? I get 2 of 2 for 33 yards, and it's early, but still, pressure's now on TCU to do something. They got to keep it close if they want a chance. And what helped them out against Michigan is they got out to an early lead. And then Georgia later, of course, beat Ohio State, but Michigan came back, and then TCU pulled away again before Michigan came back again, and then just, time ran out on them because they didn't, do enough early with some play calls, and then the turnovers hurt them. As Georgia's defense gets to Duggan and big sack, and they'll have a 2nd and a mile coming up. I mean, you go from Georgia to Fort Worth to L.A. You're sort of on a straight line from the southeast to North Texas to Southern California. They honestly probably should be playing this game, and as that bubble screen's caught for 2 yards near side, still 3rd and long. I mean, think about it. Midway, as next year's national game will be in Houston. I mean, that'd sort of be halfway. I mean, more of a trip for Georgia, but I'm thinking, somewhere in Alabama or Mississippi. Which their stadiums, I might add, so it could have been done, but of course, this shit's all planned out years ahead of time. And, hell, it's been raining in Southern California for the past 2 weeks, even though I thought it never did. But this game's being played inside. As that pass is incomplete, 4th down, and guess what TCU's going to do? They're going to punt again, just like they did on their opening drive. So now Georgia, they give TCU a call there, hold on the defense, automatic 1st down, so the drive stays alive. We'll see if it was a good call or not. Kirby's not going to be happy about that for sure. And the ref's here. Let's see a replay of it. Here we go. Yeah, that's a pretty good call. But, I mean, he fell down, though, too. They called it. There's nothing you can do about it. Play on. So, TCU lucks out. Get a new set downs because of the penalty. We'll see if they can... So, running end around, far side. Fumble. And then Georgia football. Yep, Georgia has it. So, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say, but I'll say it anyway. I was going to say, hey, we'll see how... And Duggan, his right arm's cut. He's bleeding pretty good on his inside of his forearm. Yeah, that's a fumble for sure. And then Georgia there to recover it. But how does TCU keep this drive alive? Do they, with the help out of the penalty, do something with it? Or, I mean, they ran an end around and got a couple yards, but then the fumble, the turnover. So Georgia's still going to get the ball back. So with that being said, we'll see what they do while they run it around themselves. And big hit there, 5-6 yards maybe, but yeah, this might be getting out of hand here if they make this a 2-score game, because TCU's going the wrong way. Punt, they're gonna punt again. They got a penalty. One play later, though, they turn it over. As Kevin Owens kicks off WWE Monday Night Raw. That pass caught. Be 1st and 10 Dogs inside the red zone. Yeah, this just has the feeling it's a big mismatch for whatever reason. And the Frogs can't keep up with the big dogs. But we could have a tale of two halves for all we know, though, too. 60-minute game, you know. Don't want to get too far out of ourselves, but Georgia's looking good here early. Whereas TCU's not. Hand off up the middle and 3 yards. Under 8 to play. Georgia's looking to extend their lead. They have a 2nd and 7 now, officially at the 10-yard line. Stetson Bennett looking to throw down the middle, batted down, incomplete. So this is a big 3rd down for TCU for sure. If they can force a field goal, only give up 3 points off the turnover rather than a touchdown, nothing, for that matter, then they're still in it here early. I mean, they'll still be in it until they're not, of course, but this, like I said, just has the feeling this game's going to get out of hand if they can score here. So Stetson Bennett looking to throw again, and, well, they'll make the stop, be 4th and about 4. Georgia, take the points, kick the field goal. Have a 2-score lead early. 3-6 points, anything less, even though they're 2 touchdown favorites. Think about it, because you don't know what the hell's going to happen later. You don't. Might give you the edge. It might. 24-yard field goal. Snap, hold, kick, all good. So Georgia leads TCU 10-0 now. 6:51 to play in the first. As TCU punted on the opening drive, Georgia scored on the opening drive. And then TCU was going to punt again. Had a defense penalty, though, against Georgia. Very next play, they turned it over. Fumble, Georgia recovers, and then they drive and kick a field goal. So here we are, 10-0. And we'll see how TCU responds once again, because up until they do, I mean, there's nothing really else to say about it. We got to see what they do, because they haven't done anything just yet. You know, a punt and then going to punt again, but then they turn it over. So they're in a tough spot. They just got to find their way out of the hole they're in, and the pressure's on them. They got to put the pressure on Georgia, just like Georgia's already put the pressure on them, and they're still punching them. And like Kirby said at the beginning of the game, aggressive. They're going to keep punching and punching and punching. And that turnover just led to 3 points. So we'll see how much of a difference, that's going to be late. If, anything at all. So I'll leave it at that. Back to the action momentarily. As mentioned on Raw, Kevin Owens kicking off the show, cutting a promo, but then gets interrupted by JBL. And then Baron Corbin comes out, and he's now cutting a promo, but all Owens. Jesus Christ. This is hilarious. I don't even know what to say. All Owens is doing now in the meantime, he's sort of gone to sleep in the corner. He's just standing there with his head down in the turnbuckle. Like, he doesn't want to listen to it. Like, just enough already. Like, oh, did you say something? But, all right, got some old flashback highlights. Georgia's, of course, won a few national championships throughout program history. TCU won one back in the 30s, I might add, as well. But these two teams, they've played 4 times, and Georgia's 4-0. There's the 42 Orange Bowl highlight. They last met in the 16 Liberty Bowl. And Georgia also won that. As mentioned, the Dogs are 4-0 all the time against the Frogs. Gonna make it 5-0, or is that one loss coming tonight? We'll see. So Georgia's on the kickoff. TCU back deep receive here again. And it feels like the refs, for whatever reason, when Georgia's kicked off, they think the ball's going to come off the damn tee. We're inside, for God's sakes. Like, there is no wind at all. But I don't know. Just, there's a touchback. 1st and 10 now. Once again from the 25. But backwards, punt, and then get the ball back. You luck out. But then you turn it over. So, just third time might be a charm here. Can they cut the lead? They need points. Can they get on the board with a field goal? Can they get on the board with a touchdown? We're about to find out. As TCU's 6 of their 14 turnovers have come in their last 3 games. From the 25, TCU hands off about a 4 to maybe 5 yard run up the middle. So. Second down and medium, they need more manageable situations. They've been going the wrong way. The one play they, did do something good on, they ended up turning it over. So they just got to get out of the hole they're in and, just fight back. So 2nd and, we'll say 6 from the 29. Looks like they'll audible. Receiver switch near side. So out of the gun, 4 wide. Duggan looking to throw. And far side on a deep ball. It's caught. Spins. And then a couple missed tackles before getting pushed out of bounds. And there's an explosive play for you. How do they keep it up, though? They're going to have to settle for 3. They're going to go hurry up, it looks like. Georgia's going to have the chance to sub if they want. But, well, shit, they were going to spot it at 20. Now they're going to spot it at the 11. Do they end up scoring here, or do they have to settle for 3 if Georgia, forces a field goal, stops them? So they'll hand off up the middle, 2nd down, but got an injured Georgia Bulldog down in the field. Yeah, I don't know how the hell he got that wide open, but then just piss poor tackling after the fact. He's probably out of gas. I mean, they went hurry up. Nobody subbed. And very next play up the middle, they run it, and he's right there near the tackle, and then he goes down with an injury. So, yeah, there's that situation. So, commercial break, and we'll get back to the action here shortly. TCU knock on the door, looking to cut this lead. If you're just now tuning in, it's 10-0 Georgia. So near the end of the first quarter, but TCU just hit a big play and hurry up a couple yards, and now an injury. So the difference is right now, if TCU would score, their turnover that led to a Georgia field goal, unless we'd be tied at 7 at that point. So see what happens here coming up. But maybe we'll have a good game on our hands, for all we know. Still hoping for that. It just felt like they're, a little bit early. I get a 6-minute game, but yeah, you can win or you can't win the game early, but you can sure as hell lose it early, okay? It just looked like Georgia was more ready, more prepared. They've been here before. TCU hasn't. And they were taking the bull by the horns and scoring points. TCU wasn't doing a damn thing. Now TCU's fighting back. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. And we'll see if, the 13 points is going to end up being right. As, Georgia's favored. TCU's the underdog in that situation. Or if, it's going to be a hell of a lot closer, or if it's right on the money, or if it's a blowout. Somebody knows something. The over-under, I might add, is at 62. But, we'll see how it plays out. It's been a good year in college football, for sure. I mean, hell, it's a good year every year in college football, for that matter. Georgia's been the favorite for the most part all year, as they were coming into the season as well. And then, flip-flopped in the rankings a little bit, but, get back and looking to repeat. So, yeah, TCU just overall, as they show us some highlights of how they won games this year, they just find ways to win. I don't care if it's, blowing somebody out, or, a touchdown, two touchdown win, or a game-winning touchdown, game-winning field goal there, or what, anywhere in between. Just, they find ways to win. I don't care if that's offense, defense, special teams, they find ways to win. They hand off there, another couple yards up the middle, be 3rd and short, say 3rd and 1 for TCU. Under 5 now to play in the first. From the 2, 3rd and 1, and out of the gun is Duggan. Can they Dougie for 6? He keeps it, he walks in, touchdown TCU, and the answer is yes to that question. So, the big play to a couple runs and then a touchdown. So, both quarterbacks have rushing touchdowns. And the difference is the TCU turnover here early that led to Georgia field goal. So, here's the extra point. High snap, holds down, kicks up and good. So 10-7. 10-7 Georgia. They'll get the ball back. And Here we go. From that opening segment on Raw, Kevin Owens to JBL and then Baron Corbin, it's led to a match. So they're one-on-one in singles. Hashtag WWE Raw. When you share on social media as well, I might add. As they got a full crowd, I might add as well. They're down in Sweet Home, Alabama. As those fans don't have a football game tonight like they're used to. Nice DDT, but have a kick out on the cover, on the pin, so match continues. But yeah, we'll see how tonight's show is. They had no day one pay-per-view. The SmackDown before the new year, I thought was better than the Raw last week after the new year. And of course, they continue on, a couple days a week, weekly, as they have for years and will continue to do so. Whether this person's at the top or this person owns, or of course, Vince McMahon's back with the WWE. He's back on the board. He's not on paper, at least, even though damn well after his retirement, in quotes, last summer, still thought at times, okay, he has some say. Now he's back. Just how much longer until it's back to the way it was, and then a potential sale. We'll see. There's a stunner and a 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens wins. But yeah, they got the Royal Rumble coming up a couple weeks from Saturday. And now the Bloodline attacking Owens, of course, at the Royal Rumble. We'll have Roman Reigns defend the WWE Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship against the prize fighter. I'd expect Sami Zayn to get involved and potentially screw over Reigns, which then would set up a match with Reigns and Zayn, the honorary Usos at Elimination Chamber. And then that's when you get Owens and Zayn to team up against Usos for the tag team titles. Reigns, Rock then at Mania, which will be in SoFi Stadium as we get back to the College Football Playoff National Championship game. So 10-7 Georgia. And TCU on to kick off for the first time tonight. So we'll see what Georgia does on the return. And a return from the 3. First return of the night. And to the 30-yard line he goes there. So be 1st and 10 Dogs. 3-point lead. Difference is a TCU turnover. So as mentioned, Kevin Owens getting beat up by the Bloodline. No Sami Zayn, just Usos and Solo. But then Owens fighting back with a steel chair, and he runs them off. So we'll see what else they have in store tonight. But Georgia 1st and 10 from the 30. Bubble screen and a first down run up the middle on the catch and run, I should say. And Georgia moves the stick, so yeah, first down to the Dogs. Officially 11 yards, the 41. They'll hand off here, far side, first down run, Georgia. So 2 plays, 2 first downs, and it's So I said, Georgia's just making it look easy. They are. There's no other way putting it. They just making it look easy. One play this way, one play that way. They just keep moving forward. That pass on a pump fake. Now come back on a bubble screen near side. And, well, shit. 3 plays, 3 first downs for Georgia on this drive. I'd take a shot. I would. They're out past midfield now. I'd take a shot. And Brock Bowers is somebody who, for Georgia, really hasn't done anything since the opening drive. So I'd be looking his way. Yeah, ball at the 37, 1st and 10. They break the huddle and hurry to the line. They'll fake the run. Stetson Bennett looking to throw, and they will take a shot down the middle and wide open. Touchdown, Georgia. Just like that. 4 plays and a touchdown. Lad McConkey. I mean, talk about a name. But all he cares about is a 37-yard touchdown. So, yeah, 16-7, pending upcoming extra point. 4 plays, 3 of them first downs, the 4th for a touchdown. So I said, just making it look easy, man. They are. There's no other way to put it. There's not. Simple. And the extra point's up and good. 17-7 Georgia. 2:43 to play in the first quarter. Stetson Bennett now, of course, says he has the rushing touchdown from 21 yards. They have the field goal off the turnover. He's 6 of 7 passing now with 74 yards. And, of course, 37 of those on the touchdown. And McConkey, 474 in the score. Brock Bowers, 2-33. Edwards has the catch for 4 yards, but Bennett, 1 carry, 21 yards rushing a touchdown. McIntosh, 2 of 18. Milton, 2 of 9. Bowers has an end-around run for 5. That was the very next play after the TCU end-around for fumble. Georgia ran an end-around as well. Ended up kicking a field goal, but then this drive, 3 first downs on 3 plays. The 4th play was a touchdown. 17-7 Georgia. And like I said, hey, take a shot. What do? They take a shot and they score. They're, man, that's what I'm saying. They're just making it look easy. They are. Can TCU keep up? They're used to, airing it out. I mean, Sonny Dykes was an assistant under Mike Leach, known for the air raid. But you got to have some balance. You got to have a running game, though, too. That's what with TCU right now, you're down 10 again. As you were 10-0 now, 17-7. Which last time you just got the ball back, you drove and scored. And it was a big explosive play. And then, you ran in a couple plays later. Stick to the game plan. And I'm running the football. So, 17-7 Georgia. From the 22-yard line out of the pistol, they'll hand off. And up the middle. And there's a first down run for the Horned Frogs. So, yeah. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change a damn thing. It's not like you're down 20, let alone more, with no time left. And you got to score and score again and maybe even score a 3rd time very fast. So yeah, just run the ball, work some clock. Yeah, these defenses honestly probably aren't that tired. Because if you think about it, okay, 3 plays on a 3-and-out, they punt. Georgia drives and scores TCU then turns it over real quick. Georgia drives and scores again. Had to settle for 3, but then, TCU with a big explosive play. Ran it in, as Georgia did to begin the game as well. And then, Georgia 4-play touchdown drive. TCU's back out there now. So, yeah, for TCU, I'm running the football. I'm going to try to wear them out on defense. You got to work some clock. As it looks like the bloodline's being thrown out of Monday Night Raw. But 1st and 10, TCU from midfield. Duggan looking to throw, pump fakes. He wanted to go deep, and then he gets sandwiched. Gets sacked back at the 40, and all of a 2nd and long. Probably got one more play here before the end of the quarter, and then that's it. Yeah, he wanted to go deep. But good coverage by Georgia, and then they get to him. Can't hold on the ball. Got to get rid of it. So 10-yard loss, 2nd and 18. Pass caught, but only a yard, so 2nd and long, make it 3rd and long. But that should do it for the first quarter, and it will. 3-2-1, clock expires. So at the end of the first tonight, the College Football Playoff National Championship game, Georgia leads TCU 17-7. As Alexa Bliss on WWE Monday Night Raw has been facing some mind games from the aspect of being associated in the past with Bray Wyatt. Of course, you have the Uncle Howdy aspect to it now as well, as they show off a highlight from what happened last week, and then she attacks the ref. So we'll see what they have in store for her tonight, but of course they keep showing the graphic of the Firefly. But Max Duggan at the end of 1 is 5 of 7, 76 yards passing.
We can't pinch this one in.
5 carries, 30 yards rushing for Amari DeMarcado. Davis has 62 yards receiving. Wiley 10. But the mailman, the carry for 21 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And then he's also 7 of 8 passing for 111 yards and the touchdown strike for another touchdown as well. And then, like I said, the difference is the TCU turnover that led to 3 Georgia points. TCU is lucky that Georgia didn't score on that drive. That was a big 3rd down stop. Now you're looking back on it, and they, kicked the field goal. So Alexa's going to cut a promo. We'll see what she has to say. But Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves are getting a view on the announce table in the meantime. But yeah, at the end of 1, it's 17-7 Georgia. 17-7 dogs on top of the Frogs. 15 minutes in. So now she's on her knees, but oh wait, Alexa Bliss, not Mandy. But yeah, 17-7 at the end of 1. And it's TCU football, but a 3rd and long, because there's a sack and then only about a yard or 2 on the completion, and that was the quarter. So yeah, 17-7 Georgia, at the end of the first quarter, be TCU ball, 3rd and long. So Georgia's probably going to get the ball back here. I mean, go up potentially 3 scores early, mid-second quarter. And remember, Georgia's going to get the ball back to begin the second half, I might add, as well. So begin the second quarter, 3rd and 17 officially for TCU. And then a pass caught, but 4th down, and they'll punt. So now we get an Uncle Howdy vignette as Alexa watches. I have Raw on mute, so I'm not able to hear anything that's being said, as always when we're watching football on Monday night with WWE Monday Night Raw. But basically, you know, she's going to have a decision to make on it if she's going to rejoin forces with Bray Wyatt or not long term. TCU going to punt. As actually, here comes Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy coming out on Monday Night Raw. So, revel in what you are, if you will. As he'll stand there and hold his jacket and laugh. As, of course, Bray Wyatt from Husky Harris to the first Bray Wyatt we knew as of the Wyatt family in the Swamps. To the Fiend, to Firefly Funhouse Bray, to what he is now, as Georgia will hand off there a couple yards, 2nd down. But seemingly being controlled by some sort of higher power. And then there's Uncle Howdy, who is seemingly Bo Dallas, who is Bray's real-life brother, for anyone wondering if you did not know. But, okay, 2nd and 8, Georgia from the 10 out of the pistol. And they'll fake the run, roll out near side. Comes back, 1st down, reception at the 20. So go back to Bowers for the first time since the opening drive. And that's his 3rd catch now. Over 30 yards receiving. If they ran that, I mean, man, he probably breaks that down the far sideline, and it's probably a big 1st down run. Because everybody bid on the play action. Deep ball caught again. Bowers inside TCU territory down at the 45-yard line. So 1st and 10, Georgia. Just like that again, man. Once again, they're making it look easy tonight. They are. Dogs are barking. And if you're hearing a noise in the background during tonight's stream or any stream in general, that's exactly what that noise is going to be, other than a fan blowing some air. But yeah, just dogs barking on the field, and it's another 1st down. 1st down and 10, Georgia. That officially went for what, 25, 30, almost 40 yards, I'd say. They'll hand off there, but he's 2nd down. 2nd down and 10, so no gain on the play officially. And I thought maybe they were going to give him a yard. But nothing to show for 2nd and 10, so replay down basically. Out of the gun, got Trip, stop your screen. Bennett looking to throw. Near side, almost had him. On a one-handed snag, but incomplete, so 3rd down and 10. So this drive might stall, and Georgia might punt for the first time tonight now. I mean, they're right there, 3rd and 10, up to 45 yards. I mean, if they get 8 yards, maybe you kick a long field goal. But I think if you get anything less than that, you're going to punt, pin them deep, and play field position. So this is a big 3rd down. We'll see what happens. They'll run an empty set. And then they bring pressure. He rolls out. He's going to tuck it and run. And, well, he dives and gets a 1st down. So putting the team on his back and continuing to make it look easy. Nobody was open, so I mean, what could he have done other than what he did? And that's tuck it and run. But they brought pressure to begin with, so he had to do something, and he gets 12 yards. So be first and 10, Georgia, 33-yard line. And we go from one women's segment to another on WWE Night Raw, from Alexa Bliss to Bayley and Damage Control. And they'll get playoffs. Play clock was about to expire. No gain on the play. Be second and 10 again. But now they're in field goal range. So if this drive does in fact end up stalling, like we thought it might have, but then they get the first down again, they'll for sure kick a field goal, unless, of course, he's sacked for a lot and, taken out of field goal range at that point. But be second and 10, Georgia. Motion man, far side. Will fake the give. Looking to throw again. Wants to go deep, but checks down, and we'll see where they spot him out at. It'll be third and short. Probably third and 2, I'd say. Maybe third and 3. 10 to play in the first half. Georgia leads by 10, 17-7. Third and 2. Third and a long 1. They'll hand off, get the first down anyway, so it doesn't matter. Move the sticks, and new set of downs. First and 10, Dogs. As there's the UGA mascot, not the real-life dog. He didn't make the trip. I guess there's something with bulldogs being in the air with a breathing issue of some sorts that they can't handle. But I guess they didn't even want to put him in a car and drive across country for that matter either. Handoff. And first down run. First and goal as he takes out a lot of cameramen. I can't remember, because I remember, of course, Georgia played Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, won that game in double overtime before they made it in the national championship game, and then lost to Alabama. But, of course, Rose Bowls in California. Was Uga on the sideline of that game? Like, if he was, then what's the difference? Why couldn't he have been here tonight if he was there? But if he wasn't there and not here tonight, well, that equals out and makes sense then. But, yeah, I guess there's something with the Bulldog breed as Georgia scores again. Touchdown, Dogs, 23-7. Stetson Bennett, another rushing touchdown. So he's accounted for all 3 scores. 2 on the ground now, 1 in the air. Field goal. I mean, okay, was a difference, still is. We'll see how big of a difference overall it's going to be at the end of the game, though, if this keeps up. Because if this keeps up, it's not going to matter. But if TCU comes back and, makes it interesting, then we'll still go back to that turnover for 3 points. That was their longest drive of the game thus far. They went the distance and still scored. So they can do it with ease, as the extra point's up and good, on 3, maybe 4 or 5 plays, let alone the 11-play, 92-yard touchdown drive there that took up some time as well to extend their lead. So 24-7 now, Georgia. Under 10 to play in the first half. And I might add, Georgia's still going to get the ball back to begin the second half. So, yeah, game's already getting out of control. TCU's got to do something here. Unless, come third quarter, the game's probably going to be over with. Because Georgia scored on every fucking drive. They have yet to punt. Whereas TCU's punted, 3 times? So, yeah, 24-7 here. So we're near halftime. But yeah, the Georgia Bulldog UGA real life mascot did not make the trip, but I'm sure he's watching and having a grand old time in his air conditioner right now. Living dog's best life, not doing a damn thing. And when they're not doing a damn thing, they're either eating or they're going number 1 or 2. And, well, Georgia's gone 24-7 now on TCU. So, no, but dogs are man's best friend. Big Dog's right by my side right now, and I'm sure he's liking it right now too, aren't you, buddy? But no, yeah, 24/7 Georgia, and back to the action shortly once again. Just once again, thanks for tuning in and listening. But on Monday Night Raw, as mentioned, we went from one woman's segment to the next. Bailey's in action, one-on-one against Medium. So, yeah, Royal Rumble 2 weeks from Saturday. If I'm not mistaken, today's the 9th. Playoffs begin this weekend. Yeah, the Royal Rumble's the night before the conference championship games. Used to be on a weekend by its own, because then that weekend would have been the Pro Bowl weekend that nobody watches. Because then the Super Bowl was always the first Sunday in February. Now it's the second Sunday in February with the expanded season, of course. But yeah, they're continuing to build towards that. Really only one match, make it 2 advertised, along with the Rumble matches themselves. But get back to it here. Georgia leading TCU 24/7 on the kickoff again. So we'll just see how bad it's going to get for the Horned Frogs, because I mean, they opening drive-wise punted, second drive turnover. Then they scored, but then they haven't scored since, and Georgia's continued to score. So TCU on the return, and he gets maybe the 20-yard line. But 24/7, officially 8.5 to play. As why in the hell did they go to break after the touchdown, come back for the kickoff to go to break again? That made no sense at all. They just want to keep us interested in the game now that it's turned into a blowout. They want to make sure, we're going to continue to watch. Which we are going to anyway. It's football. It's the final college football game of the season. Of course, you'll have the All-Star games to get ready for the NFL here at the end of the month. As, players are opting out, declaring, and all that, let alone transferring, for that matter as well. But, anybody who's not going to be playing college football next year, if, their career's over with, there's that. But to get ready for the next level, the NFL, the All-Star games, really, we have this game, got 6 NFL games next weekend, 4 the following week, 2 the week after that, the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl. And then that's it for football. Of course, you'll have the XFL and the USFL, and next year will be here before you know it, but it's always a long-ass off-season. It always is. It's like if football season could be, from September to February, and that was the full calendar year in the meantime, that'd be awesome. Which, of course, ain't ever going to happen, because it never has and never will. But, yeah, you find ways to buy time in that off season by doing whatever else with other sports or just life in general. But of course, hoping for I think everybody is still better game here, but it's turning into what it's sort of potentially, a big possibility of what, could happen. I mean, Georgia's a 13.2 touchdown favorite for a fucking reason. They're up 17, so 24-7 here, 8.5 to play in the half. TCU ball, though. So this is going to be a big drive for them. If they can score, stop Georgia. Before halftime, stop Georgia. After halftime, get late into the third quarter, early fourth quarter, TCU will have a chance. TCU's main goal probably right now is just to get this game into the fourth quarter down. I mean, 17 right now is probably pushing it, but probably what the spread is, just a little less than what they're down, but just give themselves a chance. You can't be down 3, 4, 5 scores, with no time left, because the game's over. The game's probably over now, to be honest with you, but I could be wrong. But it just has that feel, man. Georgia's making it look easy. They are. They've been able to score, and score. And score again because of that field goal. That's a little bit of a difference off the turnover. Whereas here's a penalty. Got a hold, 10 yards, they'll replay it down. Whereas TCU, like I said, they've only scored once. So, but yeah, this is a big drive by TCU. Hold backs them up, but got to fight through it. If they can continue just to chop the lead, they'll be all right. But then if they can't stop them defensively, then you're just, playing catch up the rest of the way. So, 2nd and 15 officially. Duggan looking to throw, and it's caught, and it'll be 3rd and medium. We'll say probably 7. See officially where they spotted at, as they almost ran into the display they have on football sidelines nowadays to block out the opponent from seeing signs. Yeah, 3rd and 7. 3rd and 7 for TCU. Big 3rd down. Maybe their biggest play of the game. Yeah, get him the fucking ball. He's wide open. They're playing off. And he goes deep to him, but overthrows him, and he's picked off. So Georgia ball, 1st and 10. He should have just ran the sticks and hit them. They'd have a 1st down. Yeah. Get them the ball rather than go deep and, play to what they want you to play. Like, Georgia's making TCU play their game. And rightfully so. That's how you're going to win and, beat your opponent. Whereas TCU just, I'd be frustrated for sure. Like I said, turnovers, less mistakes. Whoever, they run an end around again, far side, and another 1st down for Georgia. Whoever doesn't turn the ball over is going to win this game. TCU's now turned it over twice. The fumble went to a field goal. We'll see what this interception goes for, if anything at all. Yeah. Like, just, as I said, they're making it look easy. They are. Like, this honestly looks like, right now, a big-time Division I college football team beating up on, want to talk about Texas high school football, maybe the best Texas high school football team right now. Even though, of course, I get TCU's another, big-time Division I college football program. They're not playing like it, though, right now. They're not. Handoff up the middle, and about a yard short of a 1st down, but They'll probably still pick it up here in a minute anyway, so 2nd and 1, Georgia. Yeah. TCU's just, man, they weren't ready. The closest they cut it to was 10-7, down 3. And then Georgia scored, 2 more times since, looking to score again. And Stetson Bennett up under center, hands off, no gain on the play, so 3rd and a yard. They can get off the field, get the ball back. I mean, okay, don't even worry about the turnover then. But you're still down. Like, you still got to, execute, which they really haven't been able to. Bubble screen far side, and a 1st down, Georgia. It had trips. One guy stayed back. The other 2 blocked for him. They hit him, and he gets a 1st down. Simplify the game, and Georgia's doing just that. They're keeping it simple. So 1st and 10 for the Dogs. From the 44. Handoff up the middle. Another 1st down run to the 30. Good God. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they might get special here, run a trick play or something before too long. They have TCU right where they want them at. They're taking them to the fucking woodshed right now. They are. Like, this is pretty fucking pathetic. I might add, though, remember the last time, as mentioned earlier, as Georgia's looking to repeat as national champs. Another handoff up the middle, be 2nd and 3. Got a hold, 10 yards, they'll replay down, be 1st and 20. And 11 and 12, Alabama won back-to-back national titles. In 11, they won the rematch with LSU that they lost earlier in the season. Shut out the Tigers. Year afterwards, though, remember they blew out Alabama, blew out Notre Dame. So from the Golden Domers in South Bend, the Catholics that they are, Georgia looking to win back-to-back titles on the Christians in Fort Worth, TCU. So, yeah, as I said, they're taking the fucking woodshed. They are. 1st and 20. Handoff, and they get half the penalty yardage back. 2nd and 15, but I mean, they score here again before halftime. Score another touchdown early 3rd quarter. 38-7. Like, there's no fucking chance TCU comes back and wins this. None. If they can force 2 field goals, I mean, you're still down 30-7. You're still down 4 scores. 2nd and 15. Bennett looking to throw into the end zone. It's caught at the 1, but then they say incomplete, out of bounds. Let's see a replay of that, because all he needs is 1 foot down. He caught it. Nope, he's out. All right. About a half yard. Yeah, right there. So close, yet so far away. Game of inches. So 3rd and 15 for Georgia, 36. I mean, I'm, of course, going to try to get a 1st down, but I'm going to just try to get as many yards as I possibly can. Probably kick a field goal here. Maybe hell even call timeout, play clock winding down. They'll get it off. He's looking to throw again. Down the middle, caught, 1st down, Georgia, inside the 20. So a couple broken tackles, and they get down to the 12. And now get back to the run game and punch it in. Shit, Bowers has over 100 yards receiving now. 5 catches for $102. Good God. Somebody cover his ass.
And a perfectly thrown football and another first.
He's their number one receiver for sure. I don't care if he's a tight end or not.
So deadly, so useful.
He's looking like Gronk out there tonight. He is. Not saying Stetson Bennett's Tom Brady by any means, but Georgia's just making it look easy. They are. They'll call timeout, reset here. Minute 41 to play in the half, 1st and 10. But like I said, if they score here before halftime, score after halftime, even with a field goal, 34, 38, 7, when TCU's not done a damn thing tonight other than, they scored on the third drive, but the turnovers, one there on the fumble for a field goal, the interception. Here we'll see what they get out of it, but they scored on the other drives as well. So, yeah, Georgia's just making it look easy. And I guess the dog, bring up taken to the woodshed, Old Yeller's getting some revenge tonight on TCU. But, yeah, 24-7. Looking to score again. And history repeats itself, too. Like I said, last time we had a repeat champ was Alabama a decade ago. And in that second game, they blew out their opponent. Alabama beat LSU, but then they blew out Notre Dame. Georgia beat Alabama last year. Now they're blowing out TCU. So, timeout, dogs. But still got some time. Still got 2 timeouts. 1st and 10, and going to try to score here again before halftime. On Raw, Austin Theory, United States champion, in the ring, cutting a promo. I don't know if anybody cares, though, for what it's worth, but I'll leave it at that. But yeah, just this is pretty bad. This is pathetic. As now we're going to burn it down. Seth Rollins coming out on crutches, so they're having him sell the injury that he supposedly suffered throwing up the X last week to his right knee. But he hates football, but he's probably liking that the Bears have the number 1 pick come April, I might add. But there's SoFi Stadium, the Forum, right next door. AEW in town on Wednesday, as Rollins then ditches the crutches and Theory's all pissed off. But yeah, so they sell the injury for 5 seconds, and then he's still going to be serenaded by the crowd. As Georgia hands off, and now 2nd down and 3. Minute 35 to play as he got out of bounds, so the clock stops.
To get the ball out on the perimeter, just outrun TCU.
Georgia trying to make it 5 consecutive scoring drives to start this game, and they do get the football.
I'd run it. I would. But watch out for Bowers. They'll run it. And he gets to the 1. 1st and goal, Georgia. Clock's going to run, and rightfully so. Let it do just that. 1st and goal at the 1 with a minute and a half to play. Make TCU call their timeouts if they want the ball back that bad. And they will call timeout, so timeout TCU. Minute 18 to play, 1st and goal, Georgia at the 1, up 24-7. So they'll take another damn commercial break. Good God. As always, coming to halftime, we'll first ask stats and scores. We'll recap the whole entire bowl season. And then we'll recap the NFL from this past weekend, Week 18, and preview the playoffs. So, timeout, 24-7 Georgia. First goal at the 1 when we come back. So now we got a promo back and forth with Theory and Rollins. Cody Rhodes going to be returning at some point in time soon, as I'm sure he's cheering on his Bulldogs tonight as well. But, yeah, WWE just continued to build towards the Royal Rumble. And it seems like it's been an all-right show, but might add 2 weeks from now, they got the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Raw 30. And then the Rumble will be the following weekend. But TCU for sure needs to start me up. No doubt about it, man. But Georgia's eating the frogs right now for sure. They are. So grill that on the Applebee's grill for the commercial. Oh shit. They got all you can eat back. That's good news. Have to check in on that for sure. They haven't had that in a couple of years. Applebee's has all you can eat back now. All right, hell yeah. It has been a grind this year for football, as it always is. But we'll see what Georgia does here. Got first and goal at the 1. The Applebee's has all you can eat back. The wait's over. Boneless wings, riblets, and shrimp.
Real help and guidance is available. Start at ChooseKindnessProject.com.
CFP is joining ESPN and ABC for the Choose Kindness Project. They work with young people and parents, educators, coaches to help stop bullying, youth mental wellness. Learn more at ChooseKindnessProject.com. It's a virtual and ESPN part of the presentation on the field.
So Georgia first and goal at the 1. And Stetson Bennett will hand off, touchdown Dogs. 30, make it 31-7. Georgia also can get the ball back to begin the second half. And, yeah, this game's over. This game's fucking over with. Another 11-play touchdown drive that took up 5 minutes. So they've done it a couple different ways tonight. Quick, 4 or 5 plays, 2-3 minutes, touchdown. Back-to-back 11-play, 5+ minute touchdown drives now. Plus a field goal. So 31-7. So they've scored now 10 points off of 2 TCU turnovers. I mean, they'd still be leading 21-7 if they, didn't have the turnovers, but they do. So make it 31-7. Minute to play in the half. I mean, what can TCU do? Because they haven't done shit. Yeah, this is a domination, to say the least. They're making it look easy. So, yeah, 31-7, but, I mean, 2 timeouts, a minute 19 officially. I mean, they can try to do something here, but you don't want to do anything stupid. But if you don't do something now, you might not get the ball back again until mid-third quarter if they go on another long touchdown drive. And then, you know, you're down even more than you are. So you just got to keep fighting back. But there's no chance they come back and win this game. They might come back and make it interesting. And then it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well, no turnovers, you know, 10 points to Georgia there. Yeah, 31-7. 31-7. And we'll see what they have to say on halftime, and then what first half stats and scores, recap bowl season, and all that is mentioned. But TCU, Max Duggan looking to throw, dumps it off, and only about a yard or two. Second down. Go hurry up. Under a minute, second down. And then down goes Duggan. TCU will have a 3rd and long, maybe timeout by Georgia. But Georgia sacks him again, and that's a hold for 1, and then they still sacked him. That just shows you how good Georgia's front 7 is. Yeah, Georgia calls timeout, so TCU 3rd and 18. Georgia can still stop it again before halftime if they stop them here on 3rd down, get the ball back. Hell, they might score even once more before halftime and then score again, begin the second half. I mean, shit, we might be looking at 45-50 to 7 mid-third quarter. I don't think anybody knows what to say. This is an ass kicking is what it is. Yeah. Well, why should he let up until, you know, late? Like, you don't want to run up the score, but that pass is picked off. So, well, they don't even have to punt. They get another turnover. I said start, turnovers. So Georgia's getting the ball back now. Even better field, 22-yard line. They almost ran that back, but he tripped. No, a 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line, 1 timeout in 36 seconds. Yeah, they might score again before halftime. I mean, they're at least going to get a field goal, you'd think. So 34-38, 7 at halftime. Maybe 41-45-7 early 3rd quarter. This game is fucking over. Georgia's your national champions, and it's not even halftime yet. And they're going to win back-to-back natties. As they put on the gold Savage shoulder pads for the turnover chain, if you will. Stetson Bennett looking to throw. In the end zone, deflected. Incomplete of the goal line. They were going for the dagger right there. $32 seconds. 2nd and 10, I'd run it here. Surprised they didn't run there on 1st down. But they take the shot. Almost had it, but yeah, good defensive play. Because he catches that, he's in the end zone. It's a touchdown. 1 play later. They've already scored 10 points off turnovers. Make it 13-17 here in about 32 seconds. 2nd and 10 after the incompletion. And another pass near side in the end zone. Caught, touchdown, Georgia. Wow. 2 plays after a turnover. They score again. Make it, 13-17 37-7, make it 38-7. Georgia at halftime. And then they're going to get the ball back to begin the second half again, folks. This game's over. This game is over. Where are the memes that, hey, your opponents left the match, your opponents left the game? Because that's exactly, I mean, TCU, don't even fucking come out in second half. They will, they have to, but this game is over. This game is over. So yeah, 37, make it 38-7. Beat down, domination, ass kicking, whatever word you want to use, it doesn't matter. TCU was just not ready to play, whereas Georgia was. And they, from the start, scored on every drive. 17 points off of turnovers. They lead 38-7. And it's not even halftime yet. And like I said at the start, turnovers. Whoever doesn't turn the ball over is going to win the game. TCU has 3 turnovers to 17 Georgia points. I mean, they'd still be down 2 scores if they don't, but yeah, mismatch is probably another good one. This is fuel to the fire, though, for TCU to get better, you know. But then, you know, there's going to be, you know, players from this team that aren't on next year's team because every year each team is different. That's for anybody. So there's going to be fight for them, you know, to get back. But Georgia's just... I had thought this year, coming off their national championship win last year, that they'd lose a few games, in which they almost did. But talk about TCU finding ways to win, well, Georgia still won as well. And they're definitely going to win this game. But yeah, the turnovers are a big difference right now. But it's overall TCU's defense can't stop Georgia's offense. And then TCU's offense can't do a damn thing against Georgia's defense. I believe I said that correctly. So, yeah. See, the thing is with Georgia, too, like, they're going to also be losing guys. They're not going to be the same team next year either. But that's what, when Kirby was hired, yeah, he built the team on defense, because defense wins championships. And, I mean, 17 points off of turnovers, the 14 points they have on offense by themselves. Or no, did the math wrong there. Yeah, 17 points off the 3 turnovers. It would equal out if they would have had a touchdown rather than a field goal. It would be 21 even. So I guess, yeah, okay, their offense has scored 4 more points than the defense has gotten off turnovers. But, I mean, the offense still scored all the points. You know, 38-7 here. But, yeah, TCU is just, they got punched at the start, got punched a minute in, a couple more minutes in, the whole entire first half. as the second quarter expires and we head to halftime. Georgia leads TCU 38-7 at half in the national championship game tonight. So yeah, just a complete ass kicking, and this game's over. Even though we still got half football to play, this game's over with. So we'll see what the coaches have to say here. We're about 2 hours in. How do you come back from this large of a deficit? Yeah, he's right. I mean, I don't know how much fucking worse they could have went for him, but they went bad. Yeah, settle down, settle in. They're not ready. Exactly, Georgia is. They need momentum. They need a lot of it, I'll tell you that. Aggressive. Still a 6-minute game, though, says Kirby, and is right. You want to keep putting it to them. You don't want to run up the score, but physical and aggressive. This is a fucking business trip for them. They're not playing around. And I don't know if Bulldogs or any dog in general has ever tried, or if they like the taste of a frog, but I mean, from a frog to a gator to whatever other type of creature in that regard. I mean, it all tastes like fucking chicken anyway. This is... I don't think anybody was expecting this. I don't. Could be wrong, though. But Georgia, I mean... Or what? A couple of touchdowns away from the overhitting. They're clearly covering. They'll probably cover at the end of the day. But they're going to continue to be aggressive. They're going to continue to put it to them as much as they possibly can. They've literally scored on every drive. Like, this is like playing on NCAA on easy with the best team in the country against the worst team in the country, even though TCU's one of the best teams in the country because they've gotten to this point. But now that they've gotten to this point, it seems like they've just forgot how to play football, and they're not ready. They showed up, but they're not showing out, whereas Georgia is. It's an experience factor, it feels like, but Georgia's also making it look easy. They are. Scored on every drive, 17 points off the turnovers. They'd still be up, 21-7 at halftime here if they don't have any turnovers. And then TCU's got a little bit better of a chance to come back. You know, it's only a 2-score game at that point. But now they're down 4.5 scores. They need to score and keep scoring until they can't score no more, and make sure defensively they hold Georgia out of the end zone in the meantime. Like, they got to play their best half of football they've ever fucking played in the second half if they want to come back and make this interesting, let alone win the game. You know, it's not over until it's over, but this game's over. Okay? Halftime, Georgia leads TCU 38-7 at halftime. There's no other way to put it. There's not. This is an ass kicking. It is. Georgia's been ready to play. TCU not so much. Game's bigger to their liking. Sort of hungover, it feels like, from the Fiesta Bowl win over Michigan. I'm not saying, as I know some people are going to say that, well, Michigan will be putting up a better fight against Georgia right now, or if Ohio State would have won on the game-winning field goal, you know. There's that. Well, we don't know because that's not what happened in the semis, okay? What happened was TCU beat Michigan and Georgia beat Ohio State. And now Georgia's romping TCU at halftime 31-7. So we'll see, you know, if TCU does score a few more points or if they don't. Georgia doesn't have to do a damn thing the second half. They don't want to. But they will, because you just don't count anybody out until it's done and over with, because you just don't know what the hell is going to happen. We've seen, you know, bigger comebacks than this in the past. So, yeah. This is like, oh shit, like, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 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 and 38-7 at halftime. Yep. Yeah, consistency is a good word for Georgia, for sure, because they've been clicking on all cylinders. Yeah, and yeah, they're able to run the football, and then as the Georgia alum and David Pollock mentioned as well, they're dishing out to everybody. We'll go over some stats here in a minute, but there's team stats. Is Georgia going to get the ball to begin the second half? Yeah. What a 250-yard difference in total yards. Yeah, basically every play, Georgia's getting a first down, it feels like, and they're 4 or 5 on third down if they, you know, don't convert early in the drive. But then they still convert and get a new first down anyway. But then the turnovers. 3 turnovers, 17 points. It's 38-7. 38-7. So, of course, Desmond would say that, being a Michigan man, that Ohio State's responsible for TCU getting their ass kicked right now. Meaning, you know, Georgia's motivated with how that game ended. I mean, they won, but just barely, because he shanked the kick. But also, Ohio State nor Michigan's playing tonight, I might add. It's Georgia up on TCU at halftime, 38-7. So, TCU just needs a spark, but they need a bigger fire than the dumpster fire they're in right now at halftime to come back and, you know, make it interesting. Because this game's over with. 38-7 Georgia at halftime. Just... like I said, I can understand why people would be saying now that, well, you know, somebody else, whether it was Michigan, whether it was Ohio State, whether it was, you know, Nick Saban's on as an analyst today, you know, Alabama, let alone a couple other teams that finished in or just outside the top 10. You know, they'd put up a better fight. You know, because Georgia's undefeated. They won the SEC. Beat Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. Who lost to Michigan in the game in rivalry weekend at the end of the regular season. Okay? They're the 4th team. Whereas then Michigan won the Big Ten as a 2 seed. TCU lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 title game, but they had done enough early, they stayed in the top 4. And then they beat Michigan as Georgia beat Ohio State. Voila, here we go tonight. Yeah, I can already hear it. Alabama's probably pissed. Because then they beat up on Kansas State also out of the Big 12, who TCU lost to. Along with, you know, we'll get into the rankings. officially six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That would, of course, be the 12. That would be in the new format in the college football playoff starting in 2024. Of course, last year, this year, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State, and this year. Next year, they'll have it as well. But Alabama at 5, Tennessee 6. However, Clemson, Utah, Kansas State, and USC from 7 to 10 all lost in their bowl game. And then there's Penn State at 11 and Washington at 12. We are Penn State and Rose Bowl champs, I might add. And of course, Penn State's 2 losses were both to Michigan and Ohio State, who both made the playoff, I might add. But as Alabama was 10-2, Tennessee was 10-2. Clemson had 11 wins because they won the ACC, but then Utah, Kansas State, Penn State, and Washington, all 10-win teams as well. Your top 10 rankings tomorrow, at the end of the regular season, will look as Georgia, TCU, probably a tie for 3rd with Michigan and Ohio State, but probably Michigan because they beat Ohio State, so Michigan 3, Ohio State 4. See, Alabama, Tennessee, and Penn State along with Washington to the top 12 were the only other teams that won their bowl game, as mentioned, though. So they'll rise. Clemson, Utah, Kansas State, USC will fall. I mean, that's neither here nor there. The games, have been played. And this is why they play the game, But I'm sure, once again, there's some people saying, one, TCU shouldn't be here entering tonight, and now with how the game's played, they definitely shouldn't have been there, and blah, blah, blah. But then the playoffs going to expand to 12 teams. We might get more of this in the future, for all we know. But that's why the games are played. You can, once again, talk and speculate and simulate this, however you want to put it. Until the game's played, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. And that's why there's upsets. This isn't an upset by any means, and we're not going to have one because TCU ain't coming fucking back because this game's over at halftime, 38-7. But, yeah, I can understand, once again, with that being said, that, yeah, some teams probably have a point or two that, well, they should have been in this game over TCU. But at the same time, well, they're also not because they're not. Plain and simple. It's all hypothetical at the end of the day. All right? That's all there is to it. But at halftime, in the national championship game here tonight, Georgia leads TCU 38-7. They have 19 first downs to TCU's 5. They're 4 of 5 on third down. There's TCU's 1 of 5. 354 total yards to $121 of the Horned Frogs, with 213 of those in the air, the other 141 on the ground. So TCU 97 yards passing, 24 yards rushing. About 10 yards of play for Georgia, which is a first down, 12 yards of pass, about 7 per run. The refs have let them play only 6 penalties total. Georgia's controlled the clock by a good 7 minutes and also capitalized off of 3 TCU turnovers for 17 points and lead at 38-7. Georgia scored. Then the fumble, kicked the field goal, 10-0. TCU then scored, made it 10-7. That was the closest they got it, 2 at 3. It's been all Georgia since. It's been all Georgia since the start anyway. 17-7, 24-7, 31-7. Make it 38-7 because they got the ball back again just prior to halftime and scored once again. Max Duggan, 8 of 12, 97 yards passing. Fumble wasn't his fault, but he has 2 interceptions, and Georgia scored on all 3 turnovers for 17 points. And I mean, if like I said they don't have those 17 points, they're still up 21-7 right now. Georgia still scores early third quarter. They're down even more. TCU still have to come back. So turnovers or not, Georgia's blowing them out. 38-7 at halftime. Duggan, 8 of 12, 97 yards passing, as mentioned, 2 picks. And then Amari McCarty has 6 carries, 33 yards rushing. Davis, 3 catches, 73 yards. And Wiley, a catch for 10 yards. Stetson Bennett, damn near perfect. He's accounted for 4 Georgia touchdowns. 4 of the 5 Georgia touchdowns, because Milton, 8 carries, 25 yards rushing for him, has the other rushing touchdown. McIntosh, 5 of 43 on the ground. Edwards, 3 of 19. Brock Bowers, 2 end-arounds for 15 yards, also has 100 yards receiving. But Stetson Bennett's 13 of 17, 213 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in the air. And then also has 3 carries, 39 yards rushing, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Brock Bowers, as mentioned, 5 catches, 102 yards receiving. Ladd McConkey, 474 in a score. A.D. Mitchell, catcher, 22 yards and a touchdown as well. Edwards, 2 of 12. Smith has a catch for 3 yards. Bud Lesney has a field goal from 24 yards out and 5 of 5 in extra points. So if he misses the field goal, misses all 5 extra points, Georgia's still up 30-7. That's how bad this game is, okay? 38-7. So we'll see what TCU does to answer, but it hasn't been, much yet, so I doubt it'll be anything late. It's full 60-minute game for sure, yes, but 38-7 at halftime's good enough for a win. So Georgia's going to win. You're telling me there's a chance TCU came back and beat Oregon in the Alamo Bowl? Down bigger than this? I remember watching that game. It went to fucking triple overtime, I think. That'd make it interesting if they play the same second half they played that game. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. Poise, execution, yeah, pride. You don't want to go out like this for sure. I'm going to fight back. But Georgia's, taking it personal. And they're going to be 15-0 and national champs. Steamrolled, another good word, is mentioned at the start. The Georgia chant of who's that coming down the track. This is this has been an absolute disaster. I don't even know at the end of the game if there's going to be a correct word to use on Georgia's blowout win at TCU. Because I think we've said them all. I'm sure there's one bigger and better than all of them combined, but this is just it's absolutely pathetic showing by TCU, but it just also shows you how good Georgia is. So yeah, 38-7. 38-7's your halftime score. I'm sure there's a ton of people that are going to be turning this game off and then find out tomorrow who won. And then some might think Georgia won, and, what if TCU comes back? And then they'll be in shock. Well, then that's their problem. You know, you shouldn't have turned it off. You shouldn't have left early and all that. But, yeah, this is... not what you want to see in a game like this. You want to see this, you know, when Georgia's playing fucking Chattanooga or the Citadel or Kent State, who they beat this year. So, you sort of got to feel bad for TCU, you do. But at the same time, you start the game off with a 50-50 chance to win. Whether you're the favorite or the dog. Georgia's just put it to them, plain and simple. They have. So, yeah, once again, 38-7 is your halftime score. Normally they have a halftime show for the College Football Playoff National Championship game, but I guess we're not getting that this year. But maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe they're going to give it to us now. I don't know. What the hell is this? Oh, this is the same fucking promo for... Yeah, what game was it a couple weeks ago? They had a commercial for this one. It's an NFL game, I know that much. But maybe it was the College Football Playoff semis on New Year's Eve. I don't remember. Doesn't fucking matter. But... so there's that. Of grit and glory, well, Georgia's making sure that TCU's shot down in a blaze of glory. Kirby Smart is Rooster Cogburn and making sure Sonny Dykes fills his hands, you son of a bitch. So, yeah, 38-7 is your halftime score. Yeah, Georgia's getting the ball to begin the second half again, too. So we'll see if it's 38-7 still or 45-7 here in a minute. But those are your first half stats and scores. We're going to recap bowl season soon. And then recap the NFL from this past weekend, Week 18, and also preview the playoffs. And we'll see what happens this second half. So, in the meantime, once again, just thanks for tuning in and listening. Sorry it's not a better game, but 38-7 halftime. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. TCU on the kickoff. Thinking maybe they kick an onside kick, try to draw them off guard, but you don't want to give them a short field to begin the second half when you're already down 4.5 scores anyway. You want to make them drive on you. And with Georgia up 38-7 here, you want to run the ball and work clock. So we'll see if they do just that or if Stetson's going to continue to air it out and deliver, as he is the mailman himself. So, yeah, 1st and 10, Georgia from the 25-yard line to begin the second half, up 38-7 on TCU. Run the ball. And TCU can't stop them until he gets 6 yards. So, 2nd down and 4 for Georgia. Seems so much later than it is, but this game, remember, started earlier than it normally does. By a good half hour, 45 minutes, hour sometimes. I mean, like I said, normally an 8 o'clock, 8:30 kick for a College Football Playoff National Championship game. Here we are, not even 10 o'clock Eastern time. Fuck, it's not even 7 local out in LA. Starting the second half because this game started at 7:30. Another handoff. 2nd and 4, and be 3rd and 3. So they get a yard. And you just go out and play ball. Just go out and, honestly, at this point, try and do your best. Because they're probably still going to stop you anyway. So, 3rd and 3, empty set. Stetson looking to throw, slant. It's incomplete. 4th down, and did hell freeze over? Georgia's going to punt. I mean, man, they're... I'm trying not to laugh as I say it. They're going to punt? No. They're lucky to have their lead they have. Georgia going to punt to begin the second half. 38-7. And it'll roll, take a bounce. There's a flag on the play. About the 20-yard line for TCU, 1st down and 10. We'll see what the dirty laundry is from the Zebras. But now we'll see what TCU does. They might pick it up. I don't want them to start throwing every fucking flag on Georgia either to give TCU a chance, because I can already see that happening too. Got to hold on TCU on the return. 10 yards from the end of the run. 1st down, so half the distance anyway. Be 1st and 10. Horn frogs from the 10, give or take. Emphasis on mistakes and then stop playing scared. Yeah. Yeah, Georgia's physical, but they're not. Aggressive. Ruthless aggression. 1st and 10, TCU. From the 10. So 10-yard penalty, still half the distance. Yeah, Georgia, a minute and a half into the second half, went 3 and out and punted. Like, what the hell? Handoff, boom. Down he goes to the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10. No gain on the play. Yeah, his name is Amari DeMaccardo. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So 7 carries, 33 yards rushing for him now. No gain on the play. As he's their backup running back, their starter injured, not playing tonight. Don't know if that would make a difference or not, but you never know. Probably not. Duggan's pass caught far side for about 4, maybe 5 yards. 3rd down coming up. 3rd and about 4. 3rd and 5. Yeah, 3rd and 5. As Sonny Dykes is TCU's head coach, but no, that's not Lincoln Riley, USC's head coach. That's his little brother. He's TCU's offensive coordinator. And the slant over the middle, incomplete, 4th down, and, well, too early to go for it from the 15-yard line. Down 38-7, 12:21 to play in the 3rd. You got to punt. You for sure got to punt. You got to get a turnover. I'd say if you're close to midfield, I'd probably go for it. But, you know, you got to punt. You got to just stop them as much as you can, and we'll see how slow or just stale this second half's going to be now. So we'll leave it at that. 38-7, Georgia. on top of TCU early third quarter. So both teams go 3-and-out and punt to begin the second half now. Solo in a one-on-one match on Monday Night Raw in the meantime. But now it's time to recap the whole entire bowl season that started the week before Christmas. As the first game of the bowl season actually was in the Bahamas. We had UAB defeat Miami, Ohio out of the MAC 24-20. Had a top 25 matchup in the Cure Bowl as well. Troy beat UTSA 18-12, so 2 one-score games on the opening day of bowl season, followed by a couple blowouts and a couple more one-score games the next day. In the first ever Fenway Bowl, Louisville beat Cincinnati 24-7, as Scott Satterfield could have coached both teams, but was not even in attendance, of course, as he's a former Louisville coach, but now taking over Cincinnati after Luke Fickell left to go to Wisconsin. Oregon State beat Florida in the Vegas Bowl. The Beavers were able to hold their breath underwater longer than the Gators, 30-3. Fresno State won the LA Bowl over Washington State, 29-6. The Lending Tree Bowl, Frank Gore Jr. ran all over the Rice Owls, 38-24 win for the Eagles. BYU, they won the New Mexico Bowl, lone team in the state of Utah, I might add, as Utah and Utah State both lost in their bowl games. BYU, 24-23 win over SMU. So from Mormons to Methodist to the Georgia Bulldogs beating the Texas Christian 38-7 national championship game. Thank you once again for tuning in and listening. So yeah, BYU 24-23 win over SMU in the New Mexico Bowl. Boise State beat North Texas as well in the Frisco Bowl, 35-32. Speaking of Boise State, we then went to Myrtle Beach for the Myrtle Beach Bowl on the teal turf. Marshall beat UConn 28-14, but then we went to the blue turf in Boise for the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, in which Eastern Michigan beat San Jose State 41-27. Toledo defeated Liberty 21-19 as well, down in Boca in the Boca Raton Bowl. New Orleans Bowl was won by Western Kentucky 44-23 over South Alabama. Air Force won the Armed Forces Bowl. Shout out to the troops once again. Thank you for service. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. And found out earlier there's a Space Force now as well. Air Force won the Armed Forces Bowl 30-15. As we come back from break, and Georgia with another first down. Who would have thought? Stetson Bennett, simple rollout, dump off on the pass, and then Brock Bowers, hell, he might get 200-yard receiving tonight if he keeps it up. And then we'll get back to the rest of these bowl games in a minute, as they'll hand off and have a second and give or take 6, maybe 7. So the opening play of the second drive of the second half for Georgia, first down, and they run it. And there's a face mask there, didn't call. The refs were letting them play, though. 2nd and 5, they say. They give him another yard than I thought he got. So 2nd and medium, 2nd and 5. And Georgia, Bennett looking to throw again over the middle, incomplete. Caught it and dropped it. Yeah, looked to catch and run, but then, of course, took the eyes off the ball and dropped it incomplete. Could have been picked off, so they sort of luck out. But 3rd and 5 for Georgia, but hell, in the meantime, they're already in field goal range, so Could be up 41-7 here in a minute, let alone 45-7. Just when we think they're not going to convert on third down, they convert on third down. So if they don't get a first down here, I'd be surprised. As TCU has that pass is caught, and that pass is also caught for a touchdown. Wow. Talk about the hypnotode. Well, Georgia's hypnotizing TCU. Yeah, just like I said, when you don't think they're going to convert on third down, they convert and they score. Just a jump ball at the goal line, and he goes up and gets it. Touchdown Dogs. 44, make it 45-7 here, early third quarter. And back to what they were doing early in the game, how they were scoring. Quick. Minute and a half, 4 or 5 play touchdown drive. So they're back to the basics. They extend their lead. 1 point per play? Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about unstoppable. I mean, if you're scoring as many points as you've run plays, yeah, good luck to whoever the hell you're playing. This game's for sure over, and it's been over. But, yeah, they punted at the beginning of the second half. TCU did the same, but then Georgia scores. So, touchdown pass from Stetson Bennett to Brock Bowers. As now the Judgment Day is on Monday Night Raw. It looks like they broke Dom out of jail. But back to these bowl games. Right before Christmas, Houston beat Louisiana Lafayette 23-16 in the Independence Bowl. Unfortunately, it's not the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl anymore. It's the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Now, it just doesn't come off the tongue, okay? Bad Boy Mowers now sponsors the Pinstripe Bowl because New Era doesn't. But in the Gasparilla Bowl, Wake Forest beat Mizzou 27-17. Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. We watched that with the Steelers win over the Raiders that night as well. Middle Tennessee State beat San Diego State 25-23. Quick Lane Bowl, Pizza in Motown. New Mexico State beat Bowling Green 24-19. In the Camellia Bowl, Buffalo with a 2-point win over Georgia Southern 23-21. Memphis won the First Responder Bowl 38-10 over Utah State. They should have played East Carolina and Coastal Carolina in the Outer Banks, but they played it in Birmingham, where Raw's at tonight. And the Pirates beat up on the Chanticleers 53-29. Wisconsin was the first Big Ten team to win a bowl game in this bowl season, 24-17 over Oklahoma State in the desert. Oregon beat North Carolina, might add as well, in the Holiday Bowl, 28-27. Duke 30-13 win over UCF in the Military Bowl. In the Texas Bowl, we had Texas Tech defeat Ole Miss 42-25. And then at the time, and potentially still to this point, maybe the best bowl game of the bowl season, the Liberty Bowl, Arkansas beat Kansas 55-53 in triple overtime. Alamo Bowl was won by Washington 27-20 over Texas. Florida State with a quiet 10-win season won the Cheez-It Bowl 35-32 over Boomer Sooner in Oklahoma. Minnesota won that Pinstripe Bowl over Syracuse 28-20. And then the New Year's Six began. We had the Orange Bowl, which was played with the Tennessee Orange and the Clemson Orange down in South Beach, and the Vols beat the Tigers 31-14. They're great, even though eat shit Pitt. Pitt came back and beat UCLA in the Sun Bowl. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, I might add. 37-35 on a game-winning field goal. Gator Bowl was back and forth with Notre Dame and South Carolina, and then the Golden Domers beat the Gamecocks 45-38. Maryland beat NC State 16-12 in the Mayo Bowl before Mike Locksley got dumped in mayonnaise. And then also in overtime, Ohio beat Wyoming in the Barstool Bowl 30-27. Then we'll get into New Year's and the day after New Year's bowl games this year, because the NFL had January 1 for week 17 last week. But we'll get into the rest of the bowl games here in a minute from just past week and a half or so. So had a hold on the kickoff return. Georgia leads TCU 45-7 here, 10 to play in the third quarter. 2nd and 3 for the Horned Frogs. Duggan getting pressured, avoids it, tucks it and runs and gets a first down. So TCU gets a first down for the first time in a long time. Should have been sacked right there and right there. But he avoids it and then gets a first down, so 1st and 10 TCU. Pass is caught. You see where they spot him down at, right there at the marker. It'll be about a half yard short, looks like. Pass is caught. 2nd and 5 TCU. So they're showing some signs of life here, but the problem is they're down. Like, even if they'd score, we'll say 3 times, they'd still be down 2 scores. Make it 3 scores, actually. Because then that field goal from earlier, off the first turnover, you know, if TCU would score 5, maybe 6 touchdowns, which is out of the question because it's not going to happen. As Max Duggan gets sacked again, 4th down, and they'll punt. Might go for it, though. You know, they'd either be still down a couple or up a couple at that point. You think about it. Hypothetically, but it's not going to happen. This game's over. It's been over. So I'm not even going to go there. It's just 45-7 mid-third quarter, and they're on to punt again. Like, I'm surprised Georgia's not celebrating yet. Of course, Kirby's not going to allow that. He's not. And the question is, too, how much longer does Stetson Bennett play? He's a senior. He's going to be gone. This is his final game. I think they'd pull him late, sometime in the 4th quarter. But who knows? This next drive might be it for him, you know, for all we know. As Dominic Mysterio comes out looking like a gangster on Raw. As George has shot up TCU plus 38. So 45-7 here. And George is getting the ball back, I might add. So we'll see how much more damage they do. But to wrap up these bowl games, in the Music City Bowl and a rematch from the Citrus Bowl last year, Iowa shut out Kentucky 21-0. Alabama won the Sugar Bowl over K-State 45-20. We know what happened in the playoff semis because, well, Georgia and TCU are playing tonight. TCU 51-45 win against Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. And then Georgia 42-41 win. Just barely, because Ohio State missed a potential game-winning field goal as time expired at the end of the year and the new year, 42-41. And then on January the 2nd, last Monday, of course, the NFL owns Sundays. So if New Year's is on a Sunday, they play the New Year's Day bowl games then that are normally played on January 1 are played the next day. In the Outback Bowl, Mississippi State beat Illinois 19-10. Citrus Bowl was won by LSU. SEC another blowout bowl win, 63-7 over Purdue. Tulane upset USC in the Cotton Bowl, 46-45. And then the blue and white were California Dreamin', and Penn State defeats Utah in the granddaddy of them all, the 109th Rose Bowl, officially 35-21 last Monday. So those are your bowl games that took place this bowl season. In the meantime, as always, just want to say thank you for tuning in and listening tonight. Thank you for tuning in all season long for college football. Live watch along interactions, live right here on YouTube. And Ugga's watching the game. So Ugga 9, getting up there in age. He's going to be retiring, I guess. But he didn't travel. He's watching at home, though. And then Ugga 10's all energized. And Georgia's, put it to TCU here. Yeah, that's why I said, why didn't somebody drive him cross country rather than because he couldn't fly? But, like I said, just want to say thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. Georgia, 1st and 10 from the 28. And then an end around far side, maybe a hold. But they get a 15-yard run and a first down again. So 6.5 to play in the third. We're coming up on 52-7 shortly. Do they score 60? That's the big question, I think. Do they score 60? That's another, 2 touchdowns with a 2-point. Fake the run, looking to throw, going deep down the middle. Wide open at the 20. Oh, he dropped it. Big hit late. He dropped it, had it, and dropped it. Incomplete, 2nd and 10. Yeah, because of the hit on the coverage there, just able to wrap him up and jar the ball loose. It falls incomplete. 2nd and 10, run it. Now they're to throw again. Over the middle, caught. First down. And then a flag on the play. As too sweet. Here comes the club. Of course, AJ's injured with a broken ankle. But I'm sure he's barking like a bulldog right now. Loving this 45-7 lead in the national championship game. As they get TCU. He actually dropped it. But a defensive pass interference. Which that's a clear, obvious good call right there. First down, Georgia. They'll hand off, get about 3 yards, 2nd down and 7.
Because I think they know, I don't know if they necessarily believe that, but they know how he responds.
So 2nd down for Georgia. They'll hand off, but no gain on the play. They wrap them up. 3rd down.
Publicly take some, I won't say shots, but they challenge him because they know how he's going to go to work and how he potentially responds the next time out.
He's a little bit shy of 5'11", listed at that. Extremely quick and fast. You've seen his mind would be called for the talent. A chance to play beyond this season.
I think so.
Yeah, they bring up Stetson in the NFL. Herbie says Brock Purdy. Yeah, and it depends on the system for sure. Deep ball down the middle, caught. 1st and 10, Georgia the 12. He'll be a backup, probably just like Max Duggan will be. But Bennett reminds me of what Colt McCoy did at Texas. But from, Stetson being a walk-on to going to JUCO to coming back, he was never really supposed to be their starting quarterback, but he beat out everybody they had. And he's now going to win them back-to-back national titles. So that has to speak for something. Handoff. No gain on the play. You got to have a quarterback to win for sure, but you got to have a good running game to help them out for one, and you got to have a good defense. And if you don't have protection up front, you're screwed to begin with. So it's all aspects. You got to have a good offensive line. You got to have a good running game. Hopefully your quarterback's good, but you got to have a good defense, man. Defense wins championships. From the 13, 2nd and 10. And another give and no gain on the play. 3rd down. But they're in field goal range again here, so we'll see if they have to settle for 3. But just once again, as we near the end of the 3rd quarter here, just when we think they're not going to convert on 3rd down, they convert on 3rd down. They've done it all game. Potentially, yeah, I can see the argument. Pass in the end zone, caught, touchdown, Georgia again. 50. Wow. When was the last time somebody scored 50 plus in a national title game? Probably USC 20 years ago when they beat up on Oklahoma, winning also back-to-back national titles. I'm going to have to look into that, or if anybody wants to do me a favor, let me know in the comments below. When was the last time a national champion scored 50 plus in the national championship game? I think it's USC from those back-to-back 03-04 seasons. Extra point, up and good. 52-7 Georgia. Wow. Just wow. So now, Stetson Bennett, 18 of 25, 304 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns on those 3 carries for 39 yards rushing. McIntosh has 8 carries, 50 yards rushing as well. Milton, 10 of 33 in a score. Edwards, 5 of 30. So, hey, you get a carry. You get this much yardage. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. They're just, Georgia's showing out. Brock Bowers has 7 catches, 152 yards receiving and a touchdown. McConkey there with the touchdown as well. His second of the night. 5 catches, 88 yards receiving for him and the 2 scores. Washington, the catch for 28 yards. Mitchell, catch for 22 yards and touchdown as well. Edwards, 2 of 12. Smith, 1 of 3. But 52-7. You know, they don't have the field goal. They're still up 49-7. They don't have another, 10 points, off of turnovers. Do the math there, subtract that. They still have a, 4 or 5 touchdown lead. Because TCU hasn't done shit. They are getting literally blown out. So yeah, 52-7 as we near the end of the third quarter. TCU getting the ball back. Might add before this game is over, though, as we're going to recap the NFL from this past weekend and preview the playoffs as well. Give my Super Bowl pick, as I did last night, after Sunday Football 272, ending the regular season. We've already recapped the bowl season. Coaching carousel. Spinning now in the NFL, as today was Black Monday. Of course, we already had a few openings in season with the Panthers, Colts, and Broncos firing Matt Roll, who landed at Nebraska. Good luck to him and Big Red. Frank Reich was let go by the Colts, and Nathaniel Hackett was fired by the Broncos on Christmas. However, the Texans and Cardinals have now opened, firing Lovie Smith and Cliff Kingsbury. So those are your 5 NFL openings. We'll see what else opens up. Like I said last night, I think it's going to depend on what happens for a few in the playoffs, if they win or lose, let alone if the team's just waiting an extra day or 2 this week, if we have more announcements this week. But if, normally you don't get fired the day after the end of the regular season, you're safe and will be the coach, going into next season. But Georgia kicks off. However, there were 24 college football head coaching changes. This coaching carousel from Arizona State to Auburn to Cincinnati to Colorado to Nebraska to Stanford and everywhere else. We'll get to those in a minute. So, get to those and a NFL discussion here in a minute as well, so stay tuned. But 1st and 10, TCU from the 30. Georgia leads 52-7. 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. They get a couple yards there, second down. Dun, 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 dun. Go Dogs. And it looks like Stetson Bennett's day, and his career is going to be over as their backup and Carson Beck starts to warm up on the sideline. Max Duggan avoids a sack. 2nd down and 8. He's at across field. It's incomplete. Would have been a first down if he caught it. But yeah, just the pressure and the turnovers they've got off of them. Just the yards for no play, no yards, or only a few. TCU hasn't been able to move the ball. They've only scored once. Georgia's only punted once. 52-7, 3rd and 8 from 32. Out of the gun, quick pass caught, 1st down TCU, out past midfield into Georgia territory down at the 45. So 1st and 10 for the Horned Frogs from there. That's their biggest play of the game since the deep ball far side on the touchdown drive. How do they capitalize off of this, though? Do they keep it alive, end up scoring here, or does Georgia, keep them out and hold the huge lead they have, in which this game's been over since halftime? But under meant to play in the 3rd. Got 2nd down coming up. 2nd and 8. And fake the give, roll out, and then out of bounds, no gain of play. That's the thing. Yeah, TCU's not going to be going anywhere. They haven't gone anywhere the past, 20 years. But they, like I said earlier, they really came on the scene when they beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. They've had a couple bad seasons since then, and they've made a coaching change as well. Sonny Dykes in his first year, but they're good, but they're just not as good as Georgia. Georgia's going to win back-to-back national championships. It's hard to win one national championship or just one championship in general, whether it's a national championship, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Stanley Cup, et cetera, for whatever sport. It's hard to win the title. It's even harder to go back and win it again. Okay? We haven't seen a college football team win back-to-back national championships in 10 years. We haven't seen an NFL team win back-to-back Super Bowls in 20 years. We've seen a few franchises and other sports win back-to-back titles since then. But it's tough. It's tough to win in general a normal game. It's tough to win a championship of some sorts. But then it's tougher to stay on top because once you're on top, everybody's coming for you. They want to be you. That's what Georgia's the team to beat now. But at the end of the 3rd quarter, the Dogs lead the Frogs 52-7. As mentioned, these college football coaching changes, coaching carousel. Arizona State, and we'll just go alphabetically with the program from A to Z, even though unless Zathro would be a fucking college football school, there is no Z in the database for a university in that regard that plays big time Division I college football. So basically, W then. But yeah, we'll just go alphabetically here. 24 changes, as I mentioned. Arizona State fired Herm Edwards, and then they hired Oregon's offense coordinator and Kenny Dillingham, as he'll be the youngest college football coach, D1 level next year. Auburn got rid of Brian Harsin after 2 years and then hired Hugh Freeze away from Liberty, but of course had SEC ties when he was at Ole Miss. Charlotte hired Biff Poggi. Luke Fickell left Cincinnati after a college football playoff appearance last year to go to Wisconsin. So then Scott Satterfield leaves Cincinnati, or Louisville for Cincinnati, to replace Fickell, and then Jeff Brom leaves Purdue to take over his alma mater at Louisville, replacing Scott Satterfield. Jamie Chadwell, because of Hugh Freeze leaving Liberty, it's a domino effect, people. It always has been, always will be with this. You know, one person gets fired or leaves for another job, well, that's open then. Somebody else is going to fill it from elsewhere, and it's a domino effect. Jamie Chadwell leaves Coastal Carolina to take over for Hugh Freeze at Liberty, so Coastal Carolina then hires Tim Beck, who's been around the block a time or two as a coordinator. Dion leaves Jackson State to go to Boulder, Colorado to take on the Buffs. Willie Taggart will join him on staff after he was fired by Florida Atlantic. Tom Herman, the former Texas head coach, will take over in Boca with the Owls. Jeff Collins was let go by Georgia Tech. And not Brent Pry, but Brent Key will be their new head coach of the Golden Tide, Yellow Jackets. Kent State has an opening because Sean Lewis also left to join Dion's staff at Colorado. So Kenny Burns takes over in East Ohio. But Kent State can't run, can't pass, can't score, Kent State. Liberty, as mentioned, was open because of Hugh Freeze leaving for Auburn. Jamie Chadwell leaves Coastal Carolina to take over there. Same thing with Louisville. Cincinnati opened up because Luke Fickell left for Wisconsin. So then Scott Satterfield goes across the river to Cincinnati. And then Jeff Brom comes south to his alma mater from West Lafayette at Purdue to take over the Cardinal in KFC country. Mississippi State, unfortunately, Mike Leach passed away. So they promote their defense coordinator in Zach Arnett, and then won the bowl game against Illinois. Navy fired Ken Niumatalolo after they lost to Army. So Brian Newberry will take over. Nebraska hired Matt Rule after they fired Scott Frost. And honestly, rightfully so. But we'll get back to those in a minute as, had a curtain call last week in the Rose Bowl. Having some curtain calls tonight also in LA. As early fourth quarter, Georgia's going to pull their starters. And Georgia's going to win the national championship 52-7. Unless something else, gets scored here and score changes. But whatever the final score is going to be, it doesn't fucking matter. This is a ass kicking, and Georgia's going to beat TCU. So, yeah, they pull starters, they go to commercial break, and we'll get back to the action momentarily. But yeah, Nebraska fired their prodigal son, Scott Frost, and then they promoted Mickey Joseph, who then, after Matt Rule was hired, of course, he was fired by the Panthers, but he's a college football coach. He had success at Temple and Baylor. And if he can win in Philly and Waco, he can win in fucking Lincoln. All right. As I've stated in the past couple years, even way before, if you don't believe me, then don't fucking believe me. But even before some people were saying it this year, if James Franklin here at Penn State would have left on his own or got fired with, how bad they've been at times recently the past couple of years before a 11-win season this year in 2022 and a Rose Bowl win over Utah last week, as they had 11 wins total the past 2 years combined entering this year, and then they go 11-2 this year. As it is, that I thought Matt Roll would have been the perfect guy to replace, bring him home as Nebraska did with Scott Frost, but then that didn't work out. But yeah, I felt Matt Roll would have loved to have had him here in Happy Valley at Penn State if the job was open, but it, isn't, doesn't seem to be, or won't be anytime soon, and rightfully so in that regard as well. We are Penn State, but wish Matt Roll success at Nebraska and in the Big Ten, just other than, of course, when they play Penn State. So he takes over at Nebraska, and, I mean, that's just a little tidbit of what I've said about that. I really talked deeply about that. I believe it was the Penn State-Michigan State stream, because that was around the time right after Thanksgiving is when he got hired. But he's filled the staff. Mickey Joseph potentially was going to be on it as he was the interim, but then was arrested, and then they move on. So Matt Rule takes over for Scott Frost at Nebraska. North Texas fired their head coach and Seth Luttrell before their bowl game, but they ended up losing anyway. And then Eric Morse will take over for him. Ryan Walters, the Illinois defense coordinator, takes over Jeff Brom Purdue after, of course, he left for Louisville. Stanford opened, surprisingly, because David Shaw stepped down, and Troy Taylor leaves Sacramento State, who's, sort of been an FCS power, if you will, making the playoff in that regard recently. He'll take over for the Cardinal. On the farm, Texas State, Jake Spavital was let go, so G.J. Kinney takes over. Philip Montgomery fired by Tulsa, and Kevin Wilson, the former Indiana head coach, most recently at Ohio State as the offense coordinator, will live on Tulsa time in Tulsa King Country. UAB, as Bill Clark had retired before the season, their interim Bryant Vincent wasn't retained. Trent Dilfer, the former quarterback, is the new Flaming Dragon head coach. UNLV had Marcus Arroyo, but Barry Odom, the former head coach at Mizzou, most recently in Arkansas as defense coordinator, takes over in Vegas. He did have former Arkansas head coach and Bob Petrino also as offense coordinator, but then Jimbo hires him away to be his OC in Aggieland. USF sort of been in a downhill spiral a lot lately. They hire Alex Golish. Tim Lester fired by Western Michigan, so Lance Taylor takes over for him. And then Wisconsin was a surprise, I thought, when they fired Paul Chris, as he's had success at his alma mater. And then they promoted another former Badger and Jim Leonard, as, of course, he played in the NFL for 10 years, but he was most recently defense coordinator. Promoted him to the interim tag, and then it seemed like he was going to do the job, but then they hired Luke Fickell, who went 6-6 as the Ohio State interim back in 2011 after the tattoo scandal in Columbus. After Jim Tressel was let go, and then, Fickell was an assistant under Meyer, got the Cincinnati job, got them to where they're at. After, Cincinnati had success beforehand anyway, from Mark D'Antonio to Brian Kelly, had a former senator as their head coach as well, and then, Fickell, and now Scott Satterfield, but Fickell takes over in Madison with Wisconsin. And Jim Leonard at a time or two was going to stay on as a defense coordinator, but now he's not, and thought potentially he'd, be a fit for Purdue, but then they hire Illinois' defense coordinator Ryan Walters. I don't know if Illinois, Brett Bielema, was filled that defense coordinator position yet, but of course, former Wisconsin coach himself before he left for Arkansas, He knows, who Jim Leonard is as a person and as a coach. If I'm Brett Bielema, I'm hiring Jim Leonard as my defensive coordinator. But I'm not 100% certain if he's already filled that or not. But if he hasn't, well, there you go. If he has, well, we'll see where he lands. But, the coaching carousel spins this time of year as it always does. We'll see what happens in the NFL. We'll see who's taking over for who. Those are your college football coaching changes. Figured I'd, squeeze that in here now with as big of a blowout this game is. But as always, just in the meantime, so say thank you for tuning in and listening. So yeah, a couple Blue Buds made changes, and we'll see if they have some success, in the near future or not, because then if not, you're just continuing to spin downhill. Georgia scores again in the meantime, so they'll be a point away with this extra point up and good. From 60, that's what I said, mid-third quarter. Do they get 60 tonight? That's what I need to look up. When was the last time a national champion scored 50-plus, maybe even 60 for that matter, in a national championship game? So they marked him short, but then he punches it in there. That's a touchdown. All right, so just look up college football national champions. And this is the first blowout in a good 10 years. And it was, once again, like I said earlier, when Alabama won back-to-back, Georgia's doing the same. But then Florida State won the national title the next year. Alabama was right there in it, though, but then the kick six happened. Maybe we'll have a different national champion next year. Then they'll also have the state in their name, be blank state. You can fill that in, but we are. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if
It's college football with AT&T 5G.
we can get some scores on these champions, though. I might add.
You're looking very handsome, Tyler. Very tall.
AT&T 5G, fast, reliable, secure.
The Category 5 wave is working containment from the stadium and is heading straight for Vanderbilt.
Is he wrong away?
Well, Alabama scored 52 on Ohio State 2 years ago in 2020. So Georgia just scored 59. Before Alabama scoring 50-plus in a national championship game, the last time somebody scored 50-plus in the Natty, as thought, was USC on Oklahoma 55-19 at the end of the 04 season, when they also went back-to-back. When was the last time, if ever, somebody scored 60 in a win in the national championship game? We've had one shutout. We've had 2 blowouts now in the even years since COVID in the national championship games. It would have been Nebraska. They scored 62. And they also went back-to-back in 94 and 95. They beat Miami and then they beat Florida. Of course, there was another team or two that, also had a right of, very well playing in and winning that game, it might add, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, all right. The last time there was a blowout in the national championship game was when Alabama went back-to-back. The last time somebody scored 50 plus in the national championship game. Other than Alabama 2 years ago was when USC did it 20 years ago, and they also went back-to-back. If Georgia scores one more point, which would have to be on a safety, let alone a field goal to get 62, you got to go the whole way back 30 years when Nebraska also went back-to-back. So every 10 years we have had back-to-back national champions in college football. From 94 to 95 to 03 to 04 to 11 to 12, and now 21 to 22.
For over 100 years, the University of Georgia has enjoyed one of the nation's top football divisions.
So I don't know how eerie that is, or history just repeating itself there, or what, but that's honestly a pretty good stat. But yeah, they're showing out. Under 10 to play, 52, make 59-7. Georgia going to call another timeout. He's going to pull some defensive starters now. So, why not? It's not like they got a chance to come back and you're going to need those timeouts. They'll be celebrating this one for sure. They beat Alabama, but I think they'll be remembering this one more because it's a blowout. Like, hey, remember that time we got up 7 and then 10-0, and then they came back and early 10-7, but then we blew them out from there. Like, yeah. So yeah, 59-7 with under 10 to play. So there's all that. What else we got here? Recap the NFL, preview the playoffs. Yeah, let's do that. Yesterday in Week 18, actually we had 2 games on Saturday. Chiefs won, Jaguars won as well over the Raiders and Titans. And then yesterday, Tom Brady, first losing season, the starting quarterback in the National Football League. But they're still division champs and they're still going to the playoffs and still hosting a playoff game next Monday night. Falcons beat the Bucks. Vikings beat the Bears. Chicago now gets the number 1 pick. Ravens, Bengals met yesterday. They'll meet again next week. Texans beat the Colts. Sort of blew the number 1 pick, so they'll now select second. Panthers beat the Saints. Broncos beat the Chargers. Eagles, 49ers. Seahawks won in overtime. And then Washington beat Dallas as well. Lions eliminated the Packers. And then Pittsburgh won, which, with a win and helped by both the Bills and Jets, they would have been in the playoffs. But even with the win, the Bills beat the Patriots, but then the Dolphins beat the Jets. So there's that. Chiefs, Jaguars, Falcons, Bills, Vikings, Bengals, Texans, Dolphins, Panthers, Steelers, Broncos, Eagles, 49ers, Seahawks, Skins, football team, Commanders, Lions, all winners, Week 18. Normally I'd read the scores off too, but we already did that yesterday. So now, playoff preview. Got wildcard round weekend next week. Divisional round, conference championship games, followed by the Pro Bowl and Super Bowl, February the 12th. 2 playoff games on Saturday will be Seahawks 49ers and Chargers Jaguars. Next Sunday, we'll have the Dolphins and the Bills, along with the Giants and Vikings, along with the third rematch between the Ravens and the Bengals as well, as we have actually 3 of the 6 wildcard games being played for the third time this year as divisional matchups. But all 6 wildcard games next weekend are, in fact, rematches from sometime this regular season. As the Seahawks and 49ers, Dolphins and Bills, and Ravens and Bengals, of course, are divisional opponents, so they'll meet for the third time next weekend. But then the Chargers already played the Jaguars, the Giants already played the Vikings, and remember, week 1, the Cowboys played the Bucs. So all 6 games next weekend in the wildcard round are rematches. On Saturday, Seahawks, 49ers, Chargers, Jaguars. Next Sunday, Dolphins, Bills, Giants, Vikings, and Ravens, Bengals. And next Monday night, we'll have the Cowboys and Buccaneers. And then, of course, the Chiefs and the Eagles, as they have first-round byes as the 1 seed. They'll host then whoever wins this weekend and whoever is the lowest remaining seed. AFC Championship game very well could be, depending on who is playing in it, be played at a neutral site. But I have in the AFC and NFC Championship games the Bills and Chiefs and the Buccaneers and 49ers. And then in the Super Bowl, I have the Bills and the Bucs. And like I said last night, may the best team win. That also starts with a B, has a vowel as a second letter, and also red in the color scheme. So, NFL playoffs start next weekend, but we're wrapping up the college football season here tonight, and Georgia with another sack.
This season, not the way you wanted to, but he's got a tremendous career at TCU. On the end, career records of not very good teams.
Handoff, first down run, and a touchdown for Georgia again. And they've broke 60 now. Good God. Just put them out of their fucking misery already, why don't you? So, like I just said a little bit ago, the last time somebody scored 50 plus in a national championship game, yes, was 2 years ago. It was Alabama on top of Ohio State. But the last time there was a blowout in the national championship game was 10 years ago when Alabama blew out Notre Dame and won. Keyword, they missed the extra point. That's the only downfall along with the one punt they had tonight. 65-7. So 7-6-5. Dial it up across the bottom of your screen. 7:23 to play. But, no, yeah, the last time, once again, somebody scored 50 plus in the national championship game was 2 years ago. Alabama on top of Ohio State. But the last time there was a blowout in the national championship game was 10 years ago when Alabama won over Notre Dame. And keyword is back-to-back. They had won back-to-back national championships. Then Georgia's going to win back-to-back national championships tonight. That was 10 years ago. 20 years ago, USC also won back-to-back national championships. That was the last time before Alabama scored 50 plus in the national championship game that was done. Okay? And then go back another 10 years to 30 years. The last time 60 plus was scored in the national championship game for the national champion, I'd hope it wasn't, 65-62 by any means. It's not college basketball. The last time 60 plus was also scored in the national championship game by the national champ was 30 years ago by Nebraska. And they also then had won back-to-back national championships. As mentioned earlier, take it to the bank every 10 years. So 10 years from now, we'll see if we get another back-to-back national champions. And if so, well, history is starting to repeat itself once again, because you go back to Nebraska, 94, 95. You go to USC, 2003, 2004. Alabama, 2011, 2012. Alabama had won 3 and 4 years in that time span, I might add as well. And then here, Georgia Knight, national champions last year and national champions this year in 2021 to 2022 and into 2023. So 65-7. We're actually going to go back to that list because Nebraska had scored 62. When was the last time somebody scored 65 plus in the national championship game? 52, 55. 52-62. Yeah, how about 65 here? Well, I guess they don't want to go back that far in the AP poll error, all the way back to 36. There's no scores on this list I'm looking at from then till 85. Which, of course, Oklahoma beat Penn State in the Orange Bowl, but then the Lions got back the following year and beat the U 14-10. And to this very day is still the most watched college football game ever. The blue and white beat the Army Fatigues out of Miami 14-10. Yeah, 65 points in a national championship game. Like I said, this is like video game number on easy. Just blowing out your opponent. So Georgia's going to win back-to-back. And next year's college football playoff national championship game, as mentioned earlier, will be in Houston. And that'll be the final year of the 4-game format until it expands to 12 in 2024. And then the national championship game won't be until about the third weekend in January. About, anywhere from the 18th to, say, the 22nd, somewhere there. Still be on a Monday. But, yeah, right after, basically, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So they'll push it back by about 2 weeks. Because they got to play more games, of course, to get to that point because of the expansion. Which they had to get to NIL, paying the players before they could expand it, basically, long term. That's how it felt. Because there's been talk of expanding it for a while, but then to play more games, well, they want paid. Because, yeah, it's still college football, but it's a business, and it's turning into a pro sport, how the NFL is. They're playing 15 games as it is right now, with Georgia winning the national championship game. You're going to be playing, a couple more than that in a couple years. Whereas, that's what the NFL gets now to begin with. So that's what, they sort of had to get to NIL for name, image, and likeness before they could expand it, which they are going to, and that'll start in 2024. But Georgia's going to look to three-peat. When was the last time somebody won 3 straight national championships is the question. I care less about scores. And when was the last time somebody won 3 straight? Because we've had back-to-back now happen 4 times the past 30 years, from Nebraska to USC to Alabama to Georgia. Blue Bloods, I might add. When was the last time somebody won 3 in a row?
You're going to give me shit. We're all just trying to...
Yeah, they're having fun, all right. They're just trying to buy time. But 65-7's just, man.
Let's talk about this Georgia team.
It's an absolute domination. Yeah, when was the last time somebody won 3 in a row? Alabama before Nebraska, 78-79 was the last to win back-to-back before then. Miami had won 2 in 3 years and then 3 in 5 in the late 80s, early 90s. When was the last time somebody won 3 in a row? Oklahoma won back-to-back in the mid-70s and 74 and 75. So what, that's 6 times the past 50 years? We've had back-to-back national champions. Has anybody ever won 3 straight? Has anybody ever won 3 straight? It's the question now. We continue to back it up. Notre Dame won back-to-back national titles in the late 40s after World War II. Same thing with Army. Minnesota, I might add, as well. No, nobody's won 3 in a row since 1936, and that's when the AP poll started. So Georgia could become the first team next year to win their 3rd straight national championship, because nobody's ever done that before. Nobody. But also, like I said, the last time we had back-to-back national champions was Alabama. The following year, a team with state, blank state, was the national champs the next season. So fill in the blank. We are. Before that, Texas had won it. Before that, Florida had won it. So once again, more blue bloods in college football, okay? And then before that, Georgia had won their first national title in 1980. So 2.5 to play as this game about to come to an end. Georgia's going to win the national title. Yeah, just looking ahead, as unfortunately college football season is going to come to an end here. 3rd and 2, do they get a first down to ice it and maybe take a knee here? Yeah, it looks to be the case. TCU has 3 timeouts, but they're not going to call them. There's no chance. Unless they start counting touchdowns as 50 points apiece, as they'll start to celebrate now. So, yeah, coming up for college football, as the season's now officially over with, you have all-star games for some players going to the NFL, but then recruiting with the transfer portal then and NIL will continue. Conference realignment in full swing, as mentioned earlier, once again. And then the college football playoffs is going to expand to 12 teams in 2024. So we'll enter the following, that's going to be a meme or a GIF from Kirby, as he'll get a Gatorade bath. That's a good cold to have right there. No, but next year we'll be going into the last season of the 14 format of the College Football Playoff. 2024 it expands to 12. And Georgia now next season will look to become the first team ever to win their third straight national championship in college football. Nobody's ever done that before. But they do become the first team in a decade since Alabama did it to win back-to-back national championships here tonight, defeating TCU officially. Have one more snap here, another nail down. 65-7 is going to be your final score. And we've had 4 back-to-back national champions the past 4 decades. Make it 6 in the past 50 years. And Georgia's national champions again. They win back-to-back national championships over Alabama and TCU. Turnovers early were a difference, but then their offense against TCU's defense, unstoppable, and then their defense to TCU's offense put it to them, and Georgia takes TCU out behind the woodshed, and the Dogs beat the Frogs 65-7. Max Duggan, 14 of 22, 152 yards passing. They had a fumble. He had 2 picks. They had 59 yards rushing. But then Georgia, Stetson Bennett was damn near perfect. Had 6 total touchdowns. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. He accounted for 42 of their 65 points tonight. Their kicker also accounted for 11 points on made 24-yard field goal, and then missed the extra point after the last touchdown. It was 8 of 9 on those, 65-7 your final score. So overall as a team, the only downfall they had tonight, the only bad thing went wrong for them was a missed extra point, and they punted once to begin the second half. Every other drive, they fucking scored. 65-7 your final score as Stetson Bennett gets interviewed. Carson Beck, after he was pulled with the curtain call, was 2 of 3, 31 yards passing. But we'll see what Kirby has to say, too. McIntosh had 8 carries, 50 yards rushing. Branson Robinson late, 7 carries, 42 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns as well. Clark, 5 of 35 on the ground. Kendall Milton, 10 of 33, and a touchdown. Edwards had 30 yards rushing. Bowers, 2 end-arounds for 15 yards. McConkey had a carry of 14 yards as well. But then Bowers led the team in receiving with 7 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown. McConkey, 5 of 88 and 2 touchdowns. Darnell Washington, a catch for 28 yards. A.D. Mitchell, catch for 22 yards in the score. Jackson, 1 for 20. Edwards, 2 of 12. Bell, 1 for 11. And Smith had a catch for 3 yards. But Stetson Bennett, as he gets interviewed, Kirby celebrating with some fans. He'll get interviewed here shortly as well. We'll see what he has to say. They'll celebrate. They'll have the trophy ceremony. But Stetson Bennett, 6 touchdowns. 2 on the ground, 4 in the air, 3 of 39 rushing and 2 scores. But it was 18 of 25 for 304 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. As a team, as this is big for Georgia for sure. I mean, it's big for anybody winning a national championship, let alone back-to-back national championships. So congrats to them. They had 32 first downs compared to TCU's 9. They were 9 of 13 on third down. 1 for 1 on fourth down. They almost had 600 total yards compared to TCU's 188. They literally had 401 more yards total tonight than TCU did. Averaging about 10 yards a play. Controlled the clock in the second half, I might add as well, but just overall by a total of 13 minutes. And Yeah, Georgia's your national champion. Hell, they covered the over-under themselves. It was at 62. They scored 65. 65-7 your final score. So, yeah, the over hit Georgia by itself, but just total in general for the 72 points that were scored. So, plus 10 on that. But then, of course, they covered as well as 13-point favorites. And now Kirby Smart interview. Let's see what he has to say. But, yeah, aggressive. Not holding back. They punched him, and they kept punching. And they're 15-0. Hunting season's almost over. Well, now it's officially over, and the Dogs beat the Frogs 65-7. 65-7. Will to work, will to win. Yeah, they didn't care. They just went out and played. Chip on his shoulder to go out and repeat. Everybody's going to come after Georgia now. Yeah. Everything. He doesn't have Stetson. He doesn't have 2 national championships. And that's the thing with recruiting. You can be a fucking 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. He was a fucking walk-on. Okay? And then left to go to junior college. And then came back. Beat out everybody. And just won Georgia back-to-back national championships. So it doesn't matter where the fuck you come from. It's that fight. You know, as always, for anybody, you're taught at a young age, you put your fucking mind to something and you do whatever the hell you fucking want. And Georgia's went out and won 2 national championships back-to-back with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Humble, yeah, for sure. Awesome. Go Dogs. Hoo, 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 hoo. Yeah, Kirby was a player at Georgia. So it works out at alma maters, you know, for the prodigal son. But at times it also doesn't, you know. We've seen that, like, go back to coaching carousel with changes there. No, but yeah, he was an assistant under Saban. At both LSU, along with Alabama, but was also with him in Miami when he was at the Dolphins. Back-to-back titles since 1980. Georgia to Alabama to USC to Nebraska, back to, you know, a few others, as I mentioned off earlier. Like I said, we've had 4 back-to-back now national champions the past 30 years. From Georgia to Alabama to USC to Nebraska. But then go back to Alabama again and even Oklahoma in the 70s. So 6 and 50 years. As, yeah, I got my Rose Bowl merch, half of it today. Shirt came, still waiting on the hat. But yeah, Georgia national championship gear now available, they say. But yeah, Georgia's national champions. They've won back-to-back titles. So congrats to them. Defeating Alabama and now TCU. And your final score is 65-7. So trophy ceremony next. Following game here on ESPN. But in the meantime, that'll do it for myself, your host, Encyclopedia Sports. Cohen Luke 96 live right here on YouTube. So as always, I want to say thank you for tuning in, and thanks for tuning in all season long, from week 0 to week 1 and all the weeks in between. For college football, live watch along reactions live right here on YouTube. So this will officially be the final college football live watch along reaction stream of the season. Might have some videos in the off season, but next year here, no doubt about it, for the 2023 season, will be here before you know it. No doubt about that. So late August, early September, of course, can't come soon enough. But as Georgia's national champions, Penn State's Rose Bowl champions. 11 wins total the past 2 years, entering this year, and they get to 11-2 mark this year as well. Last week, defeating Utah and the granddaddy of them all. And yeah, here's to the 2022 college football season, and here's to the future in the 2023 college football season. So, just as always, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. See everybody soon in the coming days, weeks, and months to come. Live right back here on YouTube for more live watch-along reactions as well, whether that be in college football, the NFL, professional wrestling. Just be sure to subscribe. Easiest way to stay up to date is, in fact, on social media. Just scroll down, check out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, with the red subscribe button, notification bell next to it as well to stay up to date. Like, follow, and subscribe. And Georgia's your national champion. They defeat TCU in an absolute ass-kicking 65-7. So, go Dogs. But we are Penn State.